Oh, let's get. What did your shirt say?
Oh, let's get intense.
Oh, I like that. I love that shirt actually. Well, I'm back home. We are back to our normal schedule. We're gonna do 2 p.m. every day, 7 days a week. I'm here with Chris, and I'm still kind of. Yesterday was a travel day for me, so I'm still kind of a little run down and nappy. And Chris is not feeling well himself, so we might make this a short stream today, just a little transition stream while we get back to our normal routine.
Regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, I was just telling Chris how weird it was coming from Louisiana, which, if you're familiar with Colin Woodward's 11 Nations concept, I was in the nation he calls New France, and it's very, very different from the rest of America, especially where I am now, which he calls the left coast. And so coming from Louisiana, which really might as well be its own country, to an area like Seattle, the differences are very sharp for me right now. And I can see them. I kind of have them both side by side very vividly, and it's helping me to understand my experience here and why I'm having the experience I'm having. And I have a much deeper appreciation for my roots and for New France. So who knows? I'm giving myself the next year to figure out where I want to be, because I don't think I'm going to be here for much longer. It's just not my. It's not my world.
I mean, yeah,
I feel like an immigrant. I really do. When he says 11 nations, I really do feel like an immigrant in a foreign country up here, even though it's America. Which, when I moved here, I made the assumption that it's. I didn't realize like one part of America would be that different from another part. I thought there was something uniquely American that unified all of us. But whatever that American is, it's not enough to overcome these regional differences.
I know, I can see that totally. I can. Yeah, I mean, they're different worlds. Like, I mean, yeah, yeah, you can. I even say like even Texas itself. I mean, Texas itself, like it's a pretty different world living to Texarkana to Dallas. Even like it's they aren't that similar really.
Is it the rural urban?
Yeah, that's just kind of a rural urban thing. But I mean, there's big cultural like things that are just different. Like if you live in the more rural areas as opposed to urban ones. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I'm noticing just the way you're talking and everything. It seems like your anxiety is higher just being back in Seattle. Like it's crazy. Like
Actually, I'm less anxious now because I understand. Like I know I'm not from. Like I know these are not my people, so I don't have to take on their bullshit like I was when I thought that we were all trying to form a mutual society together. Now I can just be like I know I'm a Louisiana boy, and I can just be that now and not try to have to accommodate myself to the cultural norms up here.
That's really cool.
So I can. I guess I have more of a boundary now between me and them, and I can detach from it and not try to feel pressure to conform to their expectations. So it really helped me. Like the stress that would normally bother me coming back from the airport on the train didn't bother me at all. I'm like, yep, this is Seattle, and I am not them. Hey, Lib. There's also, in addition to rural, urban, there's also red state, blue state, and like red and rural kind of align, and blue state, urban kind of align. And I am definitely a red stater. I much prefer red states to blue states, and red state culture to blue state culture, and smaller city or town culture to urban culture.
I mean, fair. So do I, actually, weirdly enough.
Are you, you said you're in Washington. Are you in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm in, not Seattle, I'm in Bellevue, but same difference.
Oh, Bellevue. Yep. They're kind of, Seattle and Bellevue are kind of contrasting cultures too.
Oh, no, they definitely are. Bellevue reminds me a lot of, I guess the closest thing I can imagine to it is like Atlanta, more so. In that like it's a big city, but it feels like a suburb.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
It
It's
it
also
feels
it
like
feels more normal to me, like more
it feels
similar to American cities. Seattle is
Mhm.
such its own weird place.
Yeah.
Like you have Capitol Hill, you have the Chaz, you have socialist council members. Bellevue just seems like a mall city, shopping.
Yeah, I gotta say it's one of the slight downsides is like I feel like I live in a suburb again, and I'm not a fan exactly of suburbs. Um, I lived in like more rural areas most of my life, except for when I was like a kid. I grew up in suburbs, and then I immediately moved away from suburbs.
Vegas taught me to like suburb or appreciate suburbs because it's all suburb.
It can't.
Yeah, it is. Vegas is
Suburbs
all.
can be done well. It just like I don't know. One of the big problems here in America is our fucking car culture and how like everything's designed. I mean, it's it doesn't look pretty. I'll let's be
It is what
as
it
someone
is.
as
Like
someone who as someone who's used to more rural areas, it looks ugly as shit.
so it's an
You
aesthetic,
mean like the traffic? You mean like
right?
the traffic type thing?
I mean everything
At
from like
some point, we'll
traffic
evolve past
to
cars, I'm sure, but not anytime, not in our lifetimes, probably.
not in
I think the
America.
trend is more and more away from that.
I mean, I think
I love being car free.
yeah, I think we should be moving more and more towards like I mean better public transportation. Like Memphis, where I was from, had public transportation, basically nothing. And then to go from that to like Seattle, which has, I mean, as far as America's concerned, it has fantastic, but like it just basically has okay public transportation on like a actual level.
I mean, yeah, Texas's public transportation is absolutely terrible unless you live really near one of the one of like you live really near like one
Yeah,
the train system isn't too bad, but like it's not extensive, nearly extensive enough to
yeah.
like to make it like really viable for like
That's
regular
the
transport.
that's the
It
problem
doesn't
is that we just
it
don't
doesn't
put
it
enough
doesn't,
money
it
into
doesn't
it.
run doesn't run late enough either. Like if you go out to you take like the bus system or something like into town to try to from where I live in Irving to try to just go to dinner or something like that, you better make sure you're ready, you're done with your dinner and get back to the stop and everything to get and make sure you can get back to your location that you need to be at by like 10:30 or something like that when they cut off.
Oh
And like
yeah,
they'll just like straight kick you out of the bus like whenever
hmm
like the bus stop running, they just stop running.
yep.
So like I mean, yeah, it's
Like
not it's completely impractical. Like I mean, it's just not something that you can really depend on, especially if you're working a job or something like that. You just can't depend on that as a form of getting around. So
yeah, it's due to a lot of like a lack of focus on it on like a policy level. Like we just don't commit enough money to it. We don't
I mean,
commit
they
enough
spend
money
a
to
lot of money.
anything infrastructure related, but
They spend a lot of money on it clearly because like the trains and everything, the buses are fairly nice and everything. They're expensive too, for that matter.
yeah.
So they're not cheap
Well, they don't
to
have to be. So that's the thing. They don't have to be. Like,
yeah.
you can just take a look at like Europe and like if Europe can do that shit, there's no reason we couldn't either. It's just the way we do it is expensive.
No, I just mean like they charge a lot to ride them. That's all I
Yeah,
mean.
no, I know, and they charge a lot because of like the issues with it. I mean, first
But
off,
I mean
not
like
all.
they're fairly nice compared to like I mean I in Vegas's bus system was atrocious. I mean their buses were. I rode the bus in Vegas a couple of times, and like it was always kind of like it felt like you're putting your life in your hands type thing. The trains, the buses here in Dallas, they feel safe, and
Yeah.
you don't feel. But like it's just, but they're not like the system itself is not extensive, nearly extensive enough to like get you
Yeah.
around the way you need to. The way
The
you need
only
to.
train I think I've ever ridden on was from the one from Memphis to New Orleans. It's the only one I've ever ridden on, and it
Like
was
an Amtrak type of
yeah,
train,
yeah.
Oh, I'm just talking about like a city train, like just
Oh,
like a
light
monorail,
rail.
yeah, light rail. Yeah.
they're putting light rail in here in Seattle. It's supposed to. Looks like
Yeah,
it's getting
they
more and
did
more
it
done.
with the light rail. I got all the way from the airport to far enough out of Seattle
Yeah,
to take the bus up to where I
there
am.
you go. There you go. We'd love to see it. I'd see there's the light rail like runs uh right by one of the like nerd shops that I frequent, so I'm pretty excited about that.
What nerd
Yeah,
shop?
they seem
Mox. Mox Boarding House.
Oh, Mox. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I love Mox.
It's got like a little speakeasy and stuff. That shit is so cool.
That, in Bellevue or
Yeah,
in
there's
Seattle?
there's one in
They
Bellevue
have
and
a
one in
Mox
Seattle.
in Bellevue.
Yeah, they do. The I've been to the Seattle one a little bit more just because that's the one where um, Channel Fireball. It's a website for Magic the Gathering cards. I am a huge Magic the Gathering nerd, and I've sold cards through Channel Fireball before, so I've had to go to the Mox in Seattle.
Oh yeah, they have a huge collection.
Huge stuff there, yeah. But yeah. But how was
Yeah,
your journey back? Was it safe? Was it good?
It was generic. It was,
Generic.
Yeah, no complications or anything. It's just tiring.
Love to see it.
From plane
Flying.
to plane
Yeah.
to train to bus to car to home, like just a lot of
a lot.
logistics and coordination and waiting.
Oh yeah. I love doing that.
It was boring.
It's even more fun when you like take a risk and you just like pop an edible right before you get on the plane and you're like, God damn, I really hope I remember.
Oh yeah, I know. I wish I still consumed because that would make the trip a little easier. It's better going like when you're going there, you have the excitement and anticipation.
Yeah.
But coming back,
Coming back, you're like, damn, I gotta go back to my normal life.
yeah. So,
yeah,
but I made
yeah,
it back.
that wouldn't work out well for me. Like public transportation and edible, that'd be about it. I definitely forget to get off in the stop, end up somewhere like way further than I needed to go.
Yeah. See, my
Definitely.
problem is I've been such a stoner for so much of my life that like I just doesn't even like I haven't touched weed in like weeks, and like I guarantee you, if I got high right now, you wouldn't be able to tell. Barely affects me.
Oh, really? Because are you taking tolerance breaks?
Well,
Because that's what makes a difference. That's what happened
Eh.
to me. It had to learn to take tea breaks.
it's less so much tolerance breaks and more like I need to do breaks. It's for my health.
Yeah, weed
Right.
is very easy to use
Yeah, that's
irresponsibly.
that's why I have to like take breaks on it. And like other substances I like basically can't take breaks on, like nicotine. Like if I go a day without nicotine, I probably might unalive myself.
What?
It's bad. It's bad. Nicotine withdrawals can be not great.
I quit cold turkey, and it took I think in like 48 or 72 hours or something, the nicotine's out of your system. It doesn't take long to like weed takes forever. To leave your
Oh
system.
yeah, no, it does.
And after that, it's just kind of a mind game with
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, the difference is like weed isn't like it's not like addictive. Like it's not like chemically addictive. Whereas
Right.
like with like nicotine, I mean, for me, I started dipping when I was 18 and continued. So like my body is very much used to lots and lots and lots and lots of nicotine. Rehearsal set up before going to Japan to show. They're 3 weeks in a B&B, then went back 3 times since. Friend, they're cool. Seattle is cool.
Yeah, I was in Seattle for like 12 years, and now I'm north of Seattle. I'm one county north.
Ah, you're in the
It's Snohomish County.
yeah. I like that area.
I do too. I like it so much better than Seattle. Oh God, my mental health just instantly improved when I drove out of the city.
Yeah, significantly better than Seattle. I'm fine with here. A little south of here, there's a few more mountains than I like, but
It's a little more sleepy, but I will take sleepy over the
yeah.
career that Seattle was. So you had wanted to talk about Israel.
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
Being
for what it's worth, our
case that it was genocidal, even though genocide is an act, not a rhetoric.
well,
which is all I've seen so
So-
far.
Sort of. I'm specifically using the UN definition, which the actual physical acts are not sufficient to demonstrate genocide. Under the UN definition, what you also have to demonstrate is intent.
But you
That's
have
actually
to have the act. They're an essential part of genocide. You can't have genocide without the act.
Oh yeah. But like the distinction that I'm making is the act doesn't need to be killing people for it to be genocide. You don't have to kill people
Yes,
for
it does. That's what side means.
under
But
the
I'm looking up their definition now,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you can explain it to me.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, they've really, just like harm and violence and all that other shit. Racism got expanded. It looks like the definition of genocide has got expanded too.
Well,
Now
it's
causing
it's
harm.
not.
It's any
I mean,
kind of harm.
so first off, if you mean by now you mean I think 1949, then yes, it's 1949 because that's when the definition is from.
The current one,
Yes,
Article 2.
yeah, I think it was Article 2. I think I gave you the link at some point.
Oh.
I have it up still somewhere. I have so many
Because the
tabs
dictionary has the systematic and widespread extermination or
open.
attempted
Yeah,
extermination.
I'm not concerned with the dictionary. I'm concerned with the UN
Well,
definition.
I would use the dictionary as a starting point.
Well, I mean, yeah, as a starting
I
point,
would
but like
use the UN.
I'm using the UN definition because like obviously in any just world, obviously anybody who, did a genocide would be then held to account in an international court, but obviously like we know that's not the case, especially if they're like US allies.
But they've changed the definition of what doing a genocide is, because it's the systematic and widespread extermination or systematic killing. And now you can have genocide without actually killing people, which I don't consider genocide. Just like I don't consider suicide unless there's a body, or homicide unless there's a body.
Well, yeah, no. I'm just saying this is the criteria that the UN uses to determine what is genocide.
Yeah,
And they go through like
I don't accept it as a definition of genocide that I'm going off of.
That's
so they can have their
that's fine.
definition. I'm not obligated to.
I agree with that. I think their definition is actually like perfectly workable. I think it's more than reasonable, even though it's incredibly difficult to demonstrate. The Holocaust obviously is one of those like things where the Nazis were very, very explicit about it, especially internally. And so the demonstration of the intent was actually quite clear. And then you have like, issues with, like I know there was like that whole thing, like the Yugoslavia thing is technically not considered a genocide. It's like considered, they invented the phrase of ethnic cleansing to describe that. And there's not really that much of a difference between ethnic cleansing and genocide, but like there is.
Well,
it's all weird.
I come from a people that were ethnically cleansed. We were the first ethnic cleansing in North America of Europeans by other Europeans, and I wouldn't call it a genocide. I would call it an ethnic cleansing, but they didn't genocide us. They just put us on ships and shipped us to all parts of the world and tried to break our culture up.
That's fair. I just the UN
tried to destroy us as an ethnicity, but
for what it's worth, the UN does consider that to be
a genocide.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this definition, just like I'm not happy with the new definitions of harm and violence and all that. We're words.
Well, they're not new. Again, that definition that the UN uses was made in 1949.
Well, I'm not happy with it for the same
reason. That's fair. No. That's valid. I'm not like saying you have to accept it. I'm just explaining what it is and what it means.
And I'm very rigorous about my concepts.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it was like, they needed to make sure they had a definition that was kind of hard to deny. They wanted to make sure that if they could call something a genocide, you couldn't say, no, it's not.
But I don't know why they don't make like you still have to have bodies to have a genocide. I don't know why you
Well,
if you're trying to make sure something can be
no,
called a genocide, you don't dilute the definition to the point where
because
you don't even have to have
you don't
bodies.
have
Like you're making it even more
you don't have to wipe out a population just by killing them. You can also do that by other things, like for instance, the transfer of the children of one group to another group. What's the other thing? It's like the limiting of birth and stuff. You can that's genocide.
Wiping out a population is I would say is closer to ethnic cleansing than genocide. So it's like they're trying to expand genocide to include ethnic cleansing, and to me, they're not the same thing. That's why they have two terms in the first place.
Well, the term ethnic cleansing came about after the term genocide. Ethnic cleansing came about due to the Yugoslavia stuff. That was the oh god, I'm gonna get this wrong. It's the Albanians. Was that whole thing? They used the term ethnic cleansing because it was basically very difficult to show intent. So like the international community had a hard time calling it a genocide. So they made up a word that, was like, so we can't show that they are intentionally trying to kill off all these people, but the result is that they're killing off all these people. And that's kind of at least that's my understanding of the etymology behind ethnic, or not the etymology, but like why people started using the word ethnic cleansing as opposed to genocide. Ethnic cleansing doesn't have like a UN definition. It's not like a UN.
So, you think Israel's doing the UN version? Because when you tell me Israel's engaged in genocide, and I look at what Hamas did on October 7th, I don't see anything equivalent on Israel's side to that would indicate they're doing genocide, or even the motivation for trying to find.
Well, if you don't accept that Israel is indiscriminately bombing the Gaza Strip, and also
you mean after October 7th?
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't. I don't care what they're doing after October 7th, but before that, there was a ceasefire and they were honoring it. So that's not genocide to me. Like defensive warfare is not genocide. And I did on the stream a while back. I did an entire Twitter thread that some attorney broke down exactly what constitutes war crimes by international law, and it was very detailed. Yeah. And nothing Israel's doing falls outside of that.
Well, not nothing. They have they've dropped white phosphorus.
Okay. Well, so that's the genocide, the white phosphorus?
No. That's a war crime.
Like I don't think you're ever not going to find something to be bothered about Israel about. Is just an impression I'm getting.
That's true, but that's an Israel problem, not a me problem.
Something about Israel you just don't.
No. Hang on. It's not that there's something about. I mean, yes, there is something about Israel that I don't like. They keep doing war crimes and genocide. That
worse than Hamas. What's the genocide? Like, well, we have two different definitions, so that's maybe not even a good question.
Yeah, that's why I'm basically saying like I understand. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from when I'm saying I'm not using this like flippantly or casually. This is like I'm reasonably well read on this issue from both before October 7th and after October 7th. And before October 7th, my position was not that Israel is in the act of doing a genocide, because I did not believe that there was sufficient evidence in my mind to demonstrate intent. However, after October 7th, the reaction to October 7th has, I believe, convinced me of the intent.
But are you not also convinced of the intent of Hamas and in general? They want to commit genocide against the Jews as well.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying that Hamas isn't genocidal.
Okay. I guess that's fair then.
Yeah,
But I want to clear something up because you said you're convinced that the intent is there, but is the act there? Have they taken a genocidal act, or are you only inferring intent from rhetoric at this point?
Oh, and the act. I mean, like they've was it 15,000 up now? I mean, it's probably higher now. 15,000 was.
Casualties. You're using that as a marker of genocide.
Well, yeah, because they are specifically targeting the civilians.
Yeah, because it's defensive warfare.
Well,
doesn't matter if it's defensive
because Hamas hides.
It does. To me,
hang on. Even if Hamas is okay, so if Hamas is using the Gazan population as human shields,
and they are,
yeah, sure, I agreed. That does not give Israel just a blank check to nuke Gaza. Okay,
yeah, they can't just nuke Gaza.
No, but they are. They have bombed hospitals. They have bombed the homes of journalists. They have just bombed people's homes. They've bombed ambulances, which again, another war crime.
No, it's. I'm going to find that thread again because it sets the standard for what a war crime is, and it's on a case-by-case basis. It's not cumulative. Each strike is analyzed. They have an entire committee that analyzes this stuff, and there's checks and balances, and Israel is not even the sole authority on like there's Israelis outside of the government, like independent. Let me just find the tweet.
Which to me, honestly, I think is honestly, I think the whole thing is pretty silly considering the fact we're talking about war, which is whenever you're in war, you are literally trying to kill the other side. I mean, it's not.
Well, but you're not trying to kill the civilians of the other side, right? Like
war is never nice, though.
No. You're right. It's never nice. But like, let me take a really quick example of where I'm consistent, right, in this. Okay, so I am currently tepidly pro us supporting Ukraine. Obviously, like I do think it needs to shift how we're supporting Ukraine. However, I do think currently us supporting Ukraine is not a bad thing. Okay. However, if, for instance, Ukraine were to start taking some of those cluster bombs and like fucking carpet bombing a Russian city, okay, if they did that, that would be no, you can't do that. You can do a lot of things in a war, but like, and for us, as in like the West, quote unquote, the good guys, we don't want to carpet bomb civilian populations. We have determined that that is bad broadly. We shouldn't do that. In World War II, it was bad when we did Dresden. Okay, it was bad when we dropped the nukes. Okay, those were all not good things that the West did, and now today we recognize that and have said, hey, look, you can't just like target civilian populations, even in a war, even like with Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine can't just go, we're just going to target a Russian city and like blow up a apartment block. Okay? Because if they did, I would argue they should lose support from the West because that's not acceptable for one of our allies to do in a war. Is that reasonable?
I'm looking for that tweet. I mean, like
it's one of those things where like I do understand what you're saying, and it's not that there's a part of me that's inclined to agree with that, but the other part of me goes like I have no idea what it's like on the ground there. I have no idea what it doesn't
matter what it's what like we think it's like or what they think that they need to be able to do. Like we, America, didn't do this. When we went into fucking Iraq and Afghanistan, we didn't just carpet bomb the area.
Okay, I found it. I'm going to put the link in the
please
public chat.
But the point being that like, look, there are rules to warfare for a reason, and the reason is because we have realized that it's not good when we indiscriminately kill non-combatants.
But I trust Israel to stay within the rules, and so far I think they are. I haven't heard otherwise. And you seem to not trust Israel, and I seem to trust Israel.
Well, considering the
I
fact that
think
they
it's an enlightened democracy that's going
considering
to more or less abide by the values of an enlightened democracy and not a Bronze Age democracy.
it's a very enlightened democracy that has made thoughts illegal. Absolutely. I love their version of the Patriot Act, man. Their version of the Patriot Act is so freedom.
Okay, I still trust them over radical Muslim terrorists.
Yes.
Like you seem to have reversed that. We have an enlightened civilization.
Wait, hang on.
Bronze Age barbaric civilization. And
Okay,
you seem
whoa,
to
hang on.
reverse
Shut the
where
fuck up.
Israel
That's
is the
kind of
barbaric
no.
civilization,
And
the Bronze Age civilization is the
fucking
innocent pastoral.
gross ass fucking. That's
I'm saying what it seems like to me.
Hamas is a jihadist militant organization. Okay, fuck them. However, so to begin with, Hamas is not everybody in Gaza. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay.
Right. And the Nazis were not everybody in Germany.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
But we don't have a way to like psychologically, like psychically separate who's a Hamas supporter or a Nazi supporter.
No. Hang on. You're right. You're getting there, Jeff. You're almost there. Okay. So since we don't have a way, how do we get the Hamas people without the non-Hamas people? How do we neutralize threats without
there's
killing
not
people?
going to be any way to do it personally, and I doubt there's going to be a way that's going to satisfy.
Hang on. No, there is, because you know what? We fucking did it in Afghanistan.
We didn't do it in World War II.
You're right. We didn't. That was bad.
I don't have a problem. I do not.
I do. I have a problem with Dresden.
Well, then we just disagree. Like we have different.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. But like, what I'm saying is that like we shouldn't indiscriminately. We should not accept indiscriminate targeting of civilians. They are okay. So okay,
let's out of their way to minimize casualties.
Except for the times that they
could
bomb hospitals.
They could have flattened the place by now.
Well, okay, so that
it may not satisfy
hang on. I do want to address they could have flattened. You're right, they could. They could also drop a tactical nuke. But do you know why they aren't dropping a tactical? Or I guess I believe that the reason why they are not doing literally all they can is because if they were to do that, they would not be able to then continue because support for them internationally would evaporate completely. Like if
they secretly want to bomb Gaza, but they're refraining.
Well, not secretly.
I don't really care.
They are bombing Gaza.
I don't think that it's just one reason or that's the only reason. But I don't care why they're refraining. I care that they're refraining.
But also, like for instance, they're not refraining in other instances, like over in the West Bank. Okay, over in the West Bank, Hamas doesn't exist. Hamas is literally not in the West Bank, and yet since October 7th, 200 Palestinians have been murdered by Israeli settlers in the IDF.
Okay. I don't know much about the West Bank, but I'm focusing on Gaza and Hamas.
Sure, but like also the West Bank.
I've heard very conflicting stories, but about the West Bank, but none of it rises to the level of what I consider genocide.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the West Bank, they're not well. It's the West Bank's really complicated because of all the settlers. So like, yeah, like at the very least, we can describe what's going on in the West Bank as an ethnic cleansing.
You can describe it, but I've heard other explanations for it as well.
I mean,
so I'm not just going to accept.
I have heard Jews who went on a birthright tour describe the West Bank as ethnic cleansing. So
I've heard others describe it as defensive warfare. So
I'm sure all of those Israeli settlers shot all of those Palestinians.
This is what Paul and I argue about too. Neither one of us have any way of knowing what the real situation is. We're going off of the sources and the people that we're trusting. And if we're using different sources or we have different inputs,
I mean, I'm
But
going
I
off
have
of
no
what the
way of
humanitarian
opening
organizations
the
say.
Schrodinger's box.
Humanitarian
determining what's
humanitarian organizations broadly talk about how fucked the West Bank is. I understand that Israelis might not think the West Bank is fucked, but international humanitarian organizations do. So, one's
But,
I
hey,
understand.
Jennifer,
Hey.
are you listening? Are you getting all of this? What world you're coming into?
She just wanted to say hi.
But the original topic was going to be genocide, and I don't think anything in the West Bank is genocide. I am pretty confident of that.
That's fair and reasonable. Yes, I do think it is an unacceptable situation, but I do not believe that it rises to the level of genocide.
That's not for me to determine. That's Israel's problem to work and the Palestinians.
I mean, it's kind of our problem because we give Israel a lot of money.
It's not mine. Other than the voting booth, I have no power to, like, no one's going to come to me and ask for my input or assistance in resolving it.
Well, yeah.
Israel is a self-determining nation.
Well, yeah, but we can say whether or not they're self-determining good or bad, right? Like,
you can have an opinion on it.
Yeah. Okay, no shit, that's an opinion, Jeff.
And I have a different opinion.
I am aware. And it turns out, Jeff, that
like this morning, I was worried when you said you wanted to discuss this. I was worried how far the discussion would be able to go.
Well, because like I don't want to talk about
that we just have different opinions.
I know we have different opinions. I just wanted to try and get you to understand, like, that me calling it a genocide. I'm not calling it a genocide, like, flippantly for no reason. Because it's the cool thing to do, because TikTok told me to. Like, I know about this issue. I have read about this issue. I have talked to a lot of people who know a lot more about this issue than you or I. And after all of that, that is how I have come to the conclusion that what is going on right now in Gaza is a genocide. And
that's the argument from authority, and we're both using it. Like, that's all we
really have. No, I'm aware. I'm just saying, like,
what I understand of why you're calling it a genocide is that you're using a different definition of genocide now. And so when you explain where your definition's coming from, sure, then
mine
by those parameters, it's a genocide. I just don't accept that definition to begin with.
I mean, that's fine. Like, I just, I know you probably don't accept
I don't accept that words are violence. I don't accept that emotional harm is equivalent to physical harm. Like, there's a lot of things that you probably accept in your reality as axiomatic that I don't.
I don't think. I mean, they're definitely not axioms, but I think situationally, like, words can definitely.
Words have the power that you give them. I have been called every word you can imagine, and I am the final determiner of how much power they actually have.
I mean, not in every case.
Yes, in every case that I've been part of.
If someone
control the amount of harm I experience from a word.
If there were two people,
not in a way I can't from, like, a punch in the face or a rock or something.
Well, but what happens if one person uses words to incite another person to violence against you?
Yeah, that has has happened to me too.
My question is,
the violence didn't happen, but the incitement did. But
the
violence
is the incitement.
The violence is the act, not the word. And we have laws for incitement.
Do you believe the incitement is in any way equivalent to actual? Do you agree with our laws about incitement? Rather,
yes.
is I think the best. Okay, yeah. Then there is a degree to which you agree that incitement can be. Yeah. No.
But what I was talking about were things like using the wrong pronoun is violence against.
No. I agree that's not.
Or even hate speech, which is perfectly legal.
I'm not a fan of, like, hate speech laws. I think that they're basically all stupid. Hate crime laws we can, like, talk about, but, like, hate speech laws, it's too 1984-y for me. I'm not. not into that. Not into hate speech laws. Though I do think that like we should socially, oppose hate speech, but that's not a.
Like
I don't think
just
that should be enforced.
people
Yeah, I don't think
expressing
that should be.
disapproval when they do it.
Yeah, I don't think that they should be forced under law to not express hate speech. Unless that hate speech is then like an incitement to do, that's how we get into that thing. But yeah, and oh god, what was the other thing you said? There was another thing you said that you were like, oh, you probably agree with that, and I definitely don't.
Words of violence, harm, like physical, like emotional, psychological
Harm is equivalent.
Physical harm. Like everything is harm these days. It's harm if you have a certain book in your classroom that offends somebody. That's harm. You're doing harm to people. I don't agree that that's the same kind of harm as if you go up and
no. It's absolutely not. And even in many cases, it's not even an equivalent. I would posit that it's not even like equivalent. Just
So on the genocide thing, it looks like if you use your my definition, Israel is not committing genocide. If you use yours or the UN's, then maybe
they might be. Maybe it's
a lot of it is you're going off of intent, and you're coupling it with actions that are very ambiguous.
Well, that's what I mean. That's how the UN does it. And for what it's
we have two. You can pick your own reality depending on.
Well, it's not. I mean.
What you consider genocide, and I don't know that the discussion is going to ever progress from beyond this point.
No, I don't think it is. I just wanted to get to this point where we understood each of our positions, so that you understood that my position was not. I heard someone on TikTok say it's a genocide, and therefore
no, you're going off the UN. That's your source.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, I never thought that about you.
No.
I do think that there's some propaganda coming from that side. I don't know if it's Bosch.
They're definitely
whoever, because I see it in
I didn't think that he necessarily thought that he had got his opinions from that, though. I never.
No,
and I think he's gonna find something to think negative about Israel, even if the UN did not have that definition.
I mean, for what it's worth, I had a negative opinion. I had a negative opinion of Israel before October 7th too. So it wasn't this negative opinion.
But at least he's open about his bias.
Yeah, no. I'm aware of my biases. I'm just like making sure that my biases are clear and not like, oh, you're just the fucking Gen Zer on TikTok, because like. I don't know.
I mean, I may not agree with your biases, but I didn't think that you're just a Gen Z on TikTok.
I mean, I am a Gen Zer on TikTok.
Coming to the same conclusions that the Gen Zers on TikTok are. It would be easier to watch TikTok, but I respect and appreciate your justifications.
Some of them. Sometimes, God, the whole thing about the fucking letter to America thing was like fucking insufferable.
Is it the Osama thing?
Osama bin Laden. Yeah. God. I fucking hate it so much, because it's another one of those things. When I was in high school, I read Letter to America, and I was like, wow, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I then, grew up and learned that you can actually get those opinions from people who aren't a fucking Saudi royal terrorist.
Like cooties.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I know it's just like the thing about the Letter to America thing is like I remember reading it too, and it's nothing deep or profound or new or anything.
And it's like full of like fucking racist shit too.
I know it is. It's just like. It's not like it's not particularly well written or something. It's not like the same thing I've always felt about like when people like try to defend like Hitler or something like that. I'm like, have you read Mein Kampf? It's terrible.
It's such a bad fucking book. Like, God, at least fucking socialist literature sometimes had some bangers.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes depends on.
I think that I personally don't think Marx was a very good writer myself.
No, not Marx.
But, Jesus fuck. He's the one that everyone always brings up. But yeah, but there are some there are some good, socialist writers out there. I mean, there's some. I mean, like in general, a lot of artists himself, that artists that I respect or have liked, enjoy the work of, have been or had socialist leanings. I mean, if it weren't for the fact that I think that I think it's a fantasy, I would, if I thought that there was any realistic world where socialism or communism had any way to happen, I might be okay with, or might be for it myself, but I just don't see that it's realistic under any kind of sense where actual liberty
Yeah.
actually does take precedent. I just don't see it realistically. But I mean, like, I mean, as just an artistic person, I think most artist people, like, they kind of have like those kind of leanings towards, like, a society where everyone could just kind of, like, be and exist and stuff without having to worry about things and stuff like that.
Bless you.
Hey, Knut, good morning or afternoon.
Yeah, I guess this afternoon.
What is that stuff in the back?
Might be evening for him too. I guess not, probably.
Feels like morning because I have no life. Hey, Juniper, we're back. Oh,
She's like, yeah, she just woke up. She's doing her jumping jacks. She's gotta get up and start jumping.
you might get shaken baby syndrome.
I know. That's what but I mean, like, I'm not shaking her. She does.
Shaking herself.
I all I'm doing is, like, my hands are here. She is doing all the work here.
All right, now that we're through that awful conversation, I can finally relax and bust out some painting stuff while we talk.
Painting stuff.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I paint miniatures.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, and I have
Canvases.
No, that's right. You did the Warhammer stuff.
Oh yeah.
Warhammer, D&D, a handful of different, like, skirmish games. A lot of...
Leslie said she wants to see pictures of your miniature.
Oh, totally, I will. I'll post them in the Discord. I have like my entire Imperial Guard company out, and that's the thing that's the most painted. I have some other stuff. I have a dragon that's actually really well painted that, like, honestly, I have no idea how I got it to look this good. I did it like 2 years ago, and I just, like, slapped together a couple colors and it worked. Yeah, like, mine's nothing special. I just spend a lot of time doing it because I have a billion models.
No, it's cool. I like stuff like that.
Yeah, Lindsay paints, but she paints, like, on canvases and stuff. She's an artist herself.
She's an actual artist.
She's a real artist.
I wasn't being like, I didn't mean like that.
No, I know. No. I'm saying that. I'm a...
I have a degree in art.
Oh, damn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I have actually...
She had her degrees in theater and theater design.
Like stage tech. But if she ends up at Meow Wolf, it will all have paid off.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, she got her.
I haven't.
One of my friends, him and his wife both went to the Memphis College, University of Art or whatever, art school, and they graduated literally the year before the school shut down. Like, the school shut down out of, like, nowhere too. Like, they graduated and they tried to, like, visit back over the summer, and, like, the building was, like, shut down.
Wow,
it was crazy. But it was a private college, so it's like, happens sometimes.
I went to UNLV.
Yeah,
at least Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's where we met. We met in Las Vegas while she was in her last year of.
Oh, you went to UNLV?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ah, okay.
She did. I didn't.
I sure did.
I wish I finished college.
I got into good schools, but I got into good schools, but I couldn't afford to go. So.
Yep. Had to do it. Fucking America.
That's
Well,
probably
you know,
Ironically, that's like the
medium
worst
also.
thing.
honestly, I don't blame that on America. I honestly kind of blame the school, to be honest, because they told me whenever I went and interviewed them, they made this big deal about the fact that they wanted you at this school, they were going to find a way to get you at this school, and then like
Yeah.
whenever like time came to like try to figure out financial stuff, their options were like, well, did you try to get a loan? And I was like, yeah, they didn't approve me, and they're like, well, I don't know. So I
Yeah.
was
Oh
like,
God, I fucking hate fucking colleges do all that shit. It's the fucking worst.
I mean, it's just like I was like, well, I mean, you said that you made a big deal about if I because it's a really hard school. It was North Carolina School, the art school of filmmaking. They only accept like they accept under 80 people a year.
Oh
So it's
Jesus.
a very small group of people they accept,
Yeah.
and they systematically weed out their every graduating class they have is the size of one film crew. So like by the end of 4 years, there's only 12 people left from like the first year. So they just like so they wash out people every single year. You have to be invited back in every year. It's basically like Juilliard for filmmaking. Extremely hard to get into, and they make this big deal about the at the thing. My family took me, drove me all the way up there and everything to go to the interview and everything, and I was like,
It's even worse.
did really well in the interview. Like I interviewed with the dean of the school, and he told me I was, even though they weren't supposed to tell you at the interview, he told me I was in at the thing and everything, and I was so excited. And then it got to the part of like and I was just trusting that like they were going to be good on their word and help find a way. I didn't have the money, but if they would find a way if they really wanted me there, and they apparently did. And then I guess that didn't really hold true. So
Yeah, no, that's all words. They literally don't mean any of that. Well, maybe they do. I have seen in my experience people experience that a similar thing, so I can only assume that either everyone is just horribly incompetent at their jobs or they didn't actually mean it.
yeah, yeah.
And you
That's
know
kind of
what? They could be that incompetent. That is a possibility. Having
Yeah,
having
yeah.
having grown up and seen other adults, they could just be that incompetent.
Yeah, that's how it is in Louisiana. You never know if it's incompetence or corruption. It could be either one.
Just pick your flavor.
Pick whichever one. Pick whichever one makes you more angry at that moment.
It's always a combination of both. They're really good at making it hard to tell.
Well, what's the phrase about you should never ascribe to malice what could be better ascribed to incompetence
It's
or
so
Competence.
true.
Oh
I mean,
God.
I learned
It
that
is.
lesson over and over and over, but it really is so true.
And even
yeah, it really.
even when it like definitely seems like it's okay, as I'm gonna get us back on politics, but this is hilarious to me. Tennessee's whole their state congress or whatever, okay, had a whole thing where they only had two black people, okay, in the house, okay, and after the Nashville shooting, those two black people were Democrats. One was from Nashville, one was from Memphis, and those two black representatives obviously were pushing very, very hard for like gun control legislation. Obviously, after a mass shooting, as were, for what it's worth, a number of other Democrats in the House. And basically, some of the protesters had like not broken in, but like they were in the House and like were making a ruckus. And there were a number of Democrats who were encouraging this because the Republicans were kind of like brushing off any sort of addressing of the mass shooting that had just happened. And so Tennessee, that state Congress expelled only the two black representatives. There were like 3 or 4 Democrats who had done the same thing, but the other ones were white, and one of them was a woman. And then they only expelled the 2 black ones. And then there was a internal like memo leaked, basically where like one of the Republicans who was supposed to vote to kick the other ones out hadn't got the memo that they were supposed to kick out all of them.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, I
he
remember
did,
hearing about
and
that,
like
yeah.
it was like leaked, and they were like, "This makes us look so bad and so racist," and it's like, well, yeah, it kind of does. I can't say I'm that sorry. I can't say I feel that bad. It was very,
Yeah.
very funny. But like, yeah, I mean, they weren't actually trying to be racist. They were just trying to punish Democrats, kind of broadly. But then their incompetence made them look even worse.
Yeah. No, I remember hearing about that story whenever it came out. I remember hearing about that thing. It was insane. Like, yeah, it's really shocking the fact that like these are the people that we have running things sometimes that like, or I mean, like what about that Brexit thing with like I don't even like I mean, it's hard to tell if it was like I'm not sure which is worse, like the thing with the congressman or senator who pulled the fire thing to get out of the room.
Oh, the Jamal Bowman.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like I can't even tell. I can't say which one was worse. Is it worse that would it be worse if he was trying to? I mean, honestly, it would speak to his intelligence more if he was trying to disrupt the vote, even though it didn't make any sense for him to be doing that.
Mhm.
Who are you talking about?
The Jamal Bowman thing.
Actually,
he pulled the fire alarm to get out of a building for some reason. It
Oh
didn't make
yeah, I heard some of that.
It was
Yeah,
an
that sounded suspicious to me.
that one.
yeah, but at the
that
same
one,
time, like there was no. It was like the vote was something
Doesn't
he
know
wanted.
not to pull. How do you
wanted.
accidentally pull a fire alarm?
Yeah, no. It was very silly. Like, I think like in a funny meme world, it's hilarious, but is really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think
reality.
it probably was just like stupidity, but it's just like God, like I mean, and if I were him, I think I probably would have accepted the charges against me or something, and like something like that's really posting your L's like
I
hard.
don't
right
even.
there.
You don't even have to like worry about the fucking charges. I just die of embarrassment.
I know,
Honestly.
I mean, it's like,
Honestly, I get.
because like people because like the Republicans were like, oh, he should go to jail and everything for this, which was stupid on their part.
I was about to say.
They were overreacting to it, in my opinion. But at the same time, that he came out and was like, no, I was just too stupid to know how to use a door.
God.
And then there's all these people on TV trying to defend it, being like, well,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sign does say is kind of confusingly worded. I'm like,
God.
no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's
fire.
not. Just
This is a building he's in all the time.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one ever said the politicians we elected had to be smart.
No,
In fact, some might say it's mostly disqualifying.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like they identify more with less intelligent people, and it's a populist system.
yeah.
Well,
true.
I mean that's more of a problem with like having an educated populace. Which I know there's another stream y'all were talking about it. Democracy like requires an educated populace, and
Ideally, yes.
ideally, yeah. I guess it doesn't actually literally require it. But
I would cross my fingers as many voters as possible are voting with some kind of effort put into thinking through the issues and reading up and
But
learning
but
about
whenever
them. I know that doesn't happen.
But when you can just pick a side on like whenever you get ready to vote and just say that you're going to vote all Democrat or all Republican, you know why take the time whenever your vote's already locked in? You don't even have to do anything.
Well, hopefully centrist won't be doing that.
I
mean,
know. I'm just saying. I just think it's terrible that we have that option. I think it's terrible that you can just like say like, yeah, I'm going to vote the party ticket and just go.
For
and just,
what
like,
it's worth, I don't say I'm just gonna vote blue down the ticket, but when I look into things, it just is like, okay, I could vote for 99% Hitler or 80% Hitler.
I guess. I mean, like,
And then it's just like, okay,
for those
fuck it.
We all take shortcuts. Like I don't get to know every single candidate. A lot of it, if I see anything that sounds remotely woke, I won't vote for them, and they might be they might be the more competent candidate, but I just use that as kind of a shortcut to filter them out.
I don't really. I mean, I guess I do use the shortcut for Republicans, but I mean, look, I'm from Tennessee. All right, you can you can say with pretty much certainty that any Republican politician in Tennessee is going to be a giant piece of shit. Um, uh,
That
with
seems a
it's
little
it's
prejudiced.
it's a pretty good metric though.
Is that where Mitch McConnell's from?
No, he's from Kentucky, which is God. That's where I'm from. That's
Yeah,
where I'm.
who are your senators from Tennessee?
So, my senator was Marsha Blackburn, who basically she's like imagine like the worst Republican positions, and then like smash them all into one person. And then also, I'm pretty sure like she doesn't actually believe any of that bullshit. I'm pretty sure she's like a corporate shill. Like she is a corporate suit who is bought by PAC money, and that's it. Because like her positions are so bland. Like I can believe that, for instance, Ron DeSantis is not bought by Disney. Okay, I can believe that. He's wacky and fucking crazy enough. I can believe that he also wears high heels secretly. If we wore them openly, we wouldn't have a problem. But he tries to hide them.
Secret if you know about it.
Well, I
mean, he
mean,
wears boots. A lot of boots are just like that, though. I have boots that basically have heels on them, like, but they're just this is the way the boots are. It's not like I'm wearing high heels. I don't understand why women wear high heels. I don't understand. At all. It's ridiculous.
I don't understand high heels either. I do like boots, but I don't like cowboy boots. Honestly, I don't really like cowboy boots. Cowboy boots are like, ugh.
I've never worn cowboy boots. I don't think. I like army combat boots.
Yeah, I love combat boots.
Like I don't like Doc Martens though. They were too fatty for me.
I don't either. They're heavy.
The Docs. All my friends had. I just never wanted a pair because so many of my friends had them.
I mean, I wear steel-toed boots. I mean, that's because of like work and stuff. But like, I've always worn steel-toed.
I love steel-toe. Yeah, steel-toe boots and work boots. I love those.
Oh yeah,
And
they always.
boots, of course.
Mine always fall apart though. My last pair, I like the soles were falling off, while I was like at work. So I just like took silicone and put it on the sole and then duct taped it together, and I wore those boots for another like 4 months.
What kind of work do you do?
Oh, that was back when I was doing sign work, which I still kind of do, but really only as contract stuff now. Yeah. So I did like.
I never had to wear steel-toe boots, thankfully, like at most of the place I worked. But when I worked for Amazon, my biggest concern wasn't like getting this stuff dropped. Was just like shoes that you could stand in for like 11 hours, a night, and being on your feet that much on those hard floors. Like the only shoes that worked for me were those Skechers. Just like me and Jeff talked about before about footwear. I wore the hell out of I think my years in Amazon, I must come like 12 pairs of those Skechers.
Different colors, but
yeah, I think I was. I mean, I've been through in like less than a decade, probably 4 or 5 pair of boots. But part of that's just because like whenever something starts to fall apart, I just put it back together enough for it to keep going.
Yeah,
not because I have to. I just I can.
Yeah,
I don't like going out and buying like new things if I have an old thing that is still technically workable. If I can technically still use it, then it's good.
I've always been someone who can fix some things. I mean, not everything, but
yeah,
I like to be able to repair things if I can.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what like
sewing a button back on a shirt, whatever it is. Things like that. Everything from that to like trying to or gluing a sole back on a shoe or something like that. I've done all that shit before too.
That's what worried me the most about like getting an actual like desktop PC, because like I'm stupid. I'm a what's it called? Luddite. I don't know how technology works. All right, it's magic. I got a couple magic boxes that I shoot electricity into, and then it gives me dopamine. That's how I know computers work.
I guess I don't know. See, I grew up like in the age I grew up. I grew up like you're a good, I guess you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah, mid-20s. I was I'll just tell you, I was born in 96.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
So
my
yeah,
God.
I'm a good
It's like
decade and
just
a half
graduate
older.
college.
I told you, I'm Gen Z.
Yeah, you're like Paul and Rowan and all of that.
Oh God, yeah. Paul, I actually do remember Paul like is
He's
almost
24.
exactly my age. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like actually a little bit younger than I am. Yeah, it was wild to learn. I don't know. It's weird. I'm used to being like the older one among like people that I used to hang out with, and then it just shifted, and now I can barely stand people who are like in their early 20s. I have very little in common.
Yeah, me either. I don't know a lot of them. Nieces and nephews, early 20s, but
I can only relate to people that are this age, and
Yeah. That's what I hear happens when you become a parent. It's like I can level with people who are my age and people who are like 2. And that's it.
I can relate to anybody that can carry on an intelligent conversation. And if you're 20 and can do that,
Well, good luck finding that.
well, I mean that's what we talk to people all the time. Most people we talk to on streamer usually, and that. I mean,
yeah,
we
who's
have a
the
few people
youngest
that are.
person we ever talked to? Do you know? The unreflective, no.
No firm age bound, but it can be grown out of.
That sounds like the wisdom that comes from age.
Yeah, I mean it's happened, but oh gosh, I know there's like big. So people have been talking recently more about how like Gen Alpha kids broadly don't know how to read, which is
They don't know how they don't read. Even Gen Z doesn't read.
well
Like
depends.
they watch YouTube videos and listen to audiobooks, but they don't read text books.
Sometimes it depends. I mean, again, Gen Z is a little bit more of a it depends, much more than Gen Alpha. But like,
Do
I have
you
a
read
brother.
books?
Do I? Yes, I fucking all the time. In fact, and not even just like books, but like, I guess, does it count if I'm reading a PDF on the computer?
I guess in this day and age, yeah, it's at least
Okay.
still text.
Yeah, that's what. Well, because it's easier to get books on
Yeah,
like a
I get
PDF,
some of
especially
that
like
stuff I get from archive.org.
yeah, and stuff like that. But I have plenty of actually over here. I'm about to sometime soon start the Brandon Sanderson book, Way of Kings, that I'm supposed to read. It's supposed to be like fucking amazing, but
friend that's really into him.
yeah, no, I mean he's a good writer. I've like listened to some of his stuff. He's actually like he's really cool, but I just never got into his books. When I was younger, I read the Sword of Truth books. If y'all are familiar with those.
They sound familiar. Is that his?
No, it's
I've
oh
heard of
god,
those. I've heard of those, but I've never read them.
they're like the first one's like
Terry Goodkind.
yeah. So
I
like
think
the first one, the
He's-
first
yeah.
one is okay, and then everyone after that, it's like there's so many just weird things. There is a group of like basically Amazoness warriors who are all lesbians, and I'm almost certain that the reason why he made them that way is so we could have a number of lesbian sex scenes, because there's just like one book that has like 3 lesbian sex scenes. And it's just I don't mind sex in my books. I want my characters to be people, but like at the same time it does have that. Actually, it does have weird sex bondage and magic torture, and also he's like a big like objectivist. He's like a big fan of like Ayn Rand's philosophy and all that shit, and it like he tries to like convert that into like a magical ideology and stuff, and it just does not pair well at all.
I can't stand objectivists. objectivist bullshit.
Hey, I used to when I was in high school, I was a libertarian.
I
Were you
think
an
I think
objectivist?
I mean, yeah, I liked Ayn Rand and stuff.
I guess a libertarian is a much milder form of objectivism. I can stand libertarians for the most part. I can usually have good conversations with them. But someone who's like
Sometimes.
staunch objectivist, like I've met a couple of people that like that, and like that was impossible. They were just,
Oh yeah,
they're insufferable. But
yeah, they are, and they're fucking hypocrites too.
I
Yeah.
couldn't stand him. Oh, he was awful.
They're like, they're not consistent at all. Like, I understand that nobody really is actually fully consistent, but like, objectivists are inconsistent to like a stupid degree. Elements of objectivism.
Can you want to come on and talk about it? This sounds interesting.
yeah, and it sounds like you actually know the books he's talking about too. So
Are you a libertarian?
yeah, and I agree with what he's saying there. I think there's nothing wrong with elements of objectivism and libertarianism. There's certain things about either of those philosophies that are fine. It's just something.
I do agree about dropping the ism.
Objectivism seems to attract people of a certain kind of smugness that even goes beyond like the liberal smug people. Like it seems to attract this certain kind of insufferable smugness that can't even it's not even quantifiable. It's just like their egos are so massive.
Yeah, the John Galt.
And then they're not even God, and then they're not even actually like that well read on the topics. Like I understand that like everyone thinks that like I just don't understand economics because like whatever, I'm a commie, but like I do. I've taken literal college classes on economics and I've done my own reading, and like in my experience, every objectivist I've ever talked to can't like break out of that like Econ 101 mindset.
Yeah.
Like
they think they're so deep. It's just the same thing. The same problem I have with a lot of people who are staunch, like card carrying atheists. Like I don't have any problems with an atheist at all, but like someone who goes around like preaching atheism is just
it's the dogma.
Yeah.
The
like whenever
the ideology and the dogma.
becomes a
Anybody
religion,
like that is annoying.
Yeah, I've found that like nowadays, especially like online, if you like want to find the people who are less insufferable, they usually go less by atheist and more go by anti-theist now. I think has been the shift, which is more just they're just more anti-organized religion. That's how they focus more on rather than on being atheist. It's just what I've run into. Because I fucking hated the online atheist space for a long time. Like some parts of it were cool, but then like
The new atheist.
some new atheists are fine.
What's
like
the social justice or atheism plus? Were you into that?
So no. Because when around Atheism Plus was around was when I was in college and in my alt-right phase. So I thought Atheism Plus was like the worst thing in the world.
I know some alt-right atheists. Well, Joshua Jones is atheist. He's
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're definitely alt-right. I mean I was an alt-right atheist. I thought Atheism Plus was like cringe as fuck.
I did. Yeah.
It is. I mean, for what it's worth. All of that shit's cringe as fuck. But
it's just like the thing about atheism as like a label, as a style or whatever it is, or as an identity. It's the most basic thing ever. First of all,
yeah,
and like they're so proud of themselves for having the thought that maybe God not real. I just like it's not rocket science to have that thought. I mean,
I hate to be that guy, but what do you mean by atheism? Atheism is a person who lacks belief in a god or gods.
Or supernatural, which is
I guess that's probably better.
Like we're naturalists.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I am a theist, so I'll take the L here.
Oh,
I'm not atheist.
Yeah.
You theist?
I've had too many bizarre things happen in my life for me not to believe in a spiritual world.
Well, they could just be coincidences.
Yeah, I mean, I could be, but I mean, but still, nonetheless, it still changed my. the way I see things. Hold on, I'm gonna just.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I have had experiences that for me have convinced me of a a supernatural entity. They are not experiences that A could or B should convince anyone else of the existence of any of those things, because those are things that explicitly happen to me. I can't explain them. I can't. There's no good reason for anyone else to believe it, and there's probably not a good reason for me to believe it either.
So why
However,
do you?
it was an experience that was sufficient to convince me. However, what like that the form that the supernatural deity whatever takes is much more broad. It's I will call myself a Christian
What
only because it pisses off evangelicals.
oh.
And I think that's really funny.
Are those even around anymore?
Yeah, it's my family.
Your family. Do you? What is your relationship to this supernatural power? Like, do you appease it or honor it or try to propitiate it, or where does that leave you? Like, how did your behavior or actions change after this experience?
Not particularly, other than sometimes, especially when I'm like really alone and like down in the shitter, I have someone to talk to.
I see. Yeah, I can see the value in that.
And for what it's worth, like in a lot of other veins, like I do believe in a kind of afterlife because I think that would be good, and I
Well,
believe that the deity won't isn't like a fucking dickhead. The deity's just not all powerful.
so are you a dualist then? Because I don't. For me, I don't know how consciousness continues without a brain. But if you believe there's an immaterial substance,
Yeah, it's a non-existent substance. It's a thing that exists outside of what we can perceive, and we can't verify that obviously because we can't perceive it.
so how do you know it exists other than you think it does?
I think it does.
Oh, okay.
I am, I guess, what you might call an agnostic theist. I believe it, but I don't know it, and B, I don't think anyone can know it for certain.
Spirituality is actually something I want to talk about today. Before the Israel thing came up, because I was having some thoughts on the plane coming back, because there's nothing else to do. But I haven't figured out quite how to formulate it. Like, figuring out what spirituality is has been a project of mine for the last couple of years, and I don't know that I'm any closer. But part of it is like trying to discern the difference between emotion and spirituality, because they can kind of be the same thing. I don't know how people know what's spiritual and what's emotion.
Oh, so I got so emotions are just self. Spiritual is group. Pretty
Spiritual
simple.
is what? Group.
Group.
So you
Spiritual
can't have a spiritual experience or be spiritual.
I don't agree. In fact, I think the only way that you can definitively know that something is spiritual as opposed to just emotional is if you experience it by yourself, because other people experiencing it, quote unquote, experiencing something with you is always going to influence you. That's why, like, when you go to a church, they sing the hymns, and that gets you, even if you're not religious, if you go to a church and they're singing, it kind of fills you with that feeling of something bigger, something divine. But it's
That's
like,
just the Dionysian. Like,
so you just reverse the whole definition. So emotional is group and spiritual is singular.
So, like, if you're sitting alone in your room and you have some kind of emotional thing, that's spiritual.
Yes. Well, that is the only way something could be spiritual.
Okay, so emotional is group and patterns is spiritual is
But I have
individual
emotions
patterns.
alone, unless like watching a movie or something is group, because I have emotions from watching movies when I'm by myself.
Yeah, I disagree with your definitions.
That can be a
The
spiritual.
The only
Hey,
little-
hey, where's Curious Georgia? Just want to ask.
It's Luffy's hat.
It's Luffy's hat. Yeah. Did you not get that? Look, all right, he's a pirate.
I can prove it's Luffy's hat.
Yeah.
See it? One piece.
There we go. All right, Hank, you might. I have a hot take really fast. Luffy is a terrorist, and that's okay.
He's a freedom fighter.
Is this from a movie?
It's an anime.
Oh.
So yes, it's also from a movie because the series ran that long.
Well, yeah, that's they've had movies, but freedom fighter, terrorist, it's potato.
So I actually have issues with some of your definitions, Lib. So not just the first one, but immaterial object,
Mhm.
that is absurd. Maybe so.
What?
That's the point. The point is that it's
Technically
absurd.
not object.
Well, I'm a discordant, so I mastered up the absurd. So here, object is something you can draw or imagine, but those things are in the substrate. You had to draw it in something.
Yes.
There has to be material. It has to be in a substrate to draw it.
Yeah. To actually fully comprehend a thing, it has to be able to exist. Right?
No.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not. Well, yeah, it has to exist somewhere.
Or it has to be able to exist if we're able to comprehend it. Like
No, it has to exist somewhere, or we can't. It'd be impossible to comprehend because we won't be able to imagine it.
I mean, not necessarily because
It has to exist at least in our heads.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because otherwise you couldn't imagine it
okay, but
by definition.
what does it mean to exist in your head? Because like what I'm talking about existence, I usually think of things like a chair, okay, or the wind. However, what I'm discussing is more not any of those things. When I talk about things that are outside of existence, they're
How
things.
does it manifest if not to your senses?
Yeah, exactly. How is it not manifesting not to your senses? So maybe you can have an object that's thought-based, abstract over multiple things, but you can't say just not there.
It's a thing that we can't because we exist, because we are within existence, we cannot perceive things that could potentially be outside of it.
So how do you know it's there? Then?
I don't.
You're just taking it on faith.
I'm convinced. I am convinced that it is, but my being
Not
convinced.
by anything you've perceived.
No, I
or
have.
can perceive.
I have been convinced by a thing that I can perceive, but that
You
thing
really
is not the
can't
thing that is outside.
So it's something you draw or imagine
Yeah,
instead of
right.
saw and touched.
Yes,
Okay, that's fine.
slash felt. That was the feelings are also extant.
I think of spirituality as something more internal, like not external at all. If like when I'm trying to find spirituality, you have I'm trying like there's something beyond the ego, and then you have the id. But also, I think somewhere in the same region as the id, and I'm only speaking metaphorically when I talk about directions.
I get what you're talking about.
But somewhere like it's in the body, like spirituality, whatever it is, it's going to be in the body. It's not going to be outside of the body or the self. But there's something I call the deep self, which I sometimes get intuitions or the same part of me that I get promptings from the id from. There's something else sometimes that comes through that seems separate from the id that I call the deep self. And I think if there's spirituality at all, it's internal. It's connected to that deep part of us.
Well, sure, it's connected, but like, yeah, what I'm describing is
like that's our only organ for perceiving it. I don't think it's going to be perceived outside of reality.
Yeah, we can't perceive it outside of reality.
And it's
So what do you mean by reality? I'll tell you what I mean by reality. Let me say what I mean by reality first. What I mean by reality is things I can perceive. So that include things I can draw, imagine, or see and touch.
If you imagine it, that qualifies as a perception. I'm talking about phenomenological reality, the cosmos.
Yeah, of course, it qualifies as perception because it's I can at least see it in my mind.
So mental, physical, and mental reality is reality.
Yes, mental and physical stuff is reality. But
Yeah,
they're
a part of.
You could segment that from the stuff that's entities in the universe you're in, or universe
and
is
things
just
that
a collection of
aren't entities.
objects.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
so it's important to define our terms well, so we can know what we mean and explain what we mean.
I see what Hank's saying. So basically, what he's saying is that like the reality includes all of that stuff, but then we can distinguish between things that, like, say for instance, do exist in the reality and things that only exist in our mind in the reality. Like a unicorn only exists in my mind; it doesn't exist in the real world in reality.
But spiritual people seem
you're overloading the term "real," and that's can cause you too many issues tripping over yourself in your words.
Okay, that's fair.
Are you saying that spirituality, like there's things we perceive and there's things we conceive, but there's this third thing that's neither one of those? That's still
no. I'm a monist, so no, I would check.
Some of you live, really, are spiritual people. I'm wondering.
No, I'm a monist, so I put.
I don't know what a monist is.
Like physical reality and mental reality is one.
It's one giant bucket.
Yeah, it's a big bucket that like can like, so like everyone's mental reality and physical reality all collectively make up reality. However, some things obviously are in the reality that we share, and some things are in the reality that we don't share.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
And for me, I believe there is not reality, but that like we literally are. We are incapable of perceiving that thing. But
you just believe it's there. How is that different from a concept?
How is it different?
I mean, imagine, like Hank said, he can imagine.
It's not. It's about the same. Yeah, it's about the same.
It's not the same.
No, I said it's about the same.
So we're all living in Hank's world.
Pretty much. Yes.
Well, I could have told you that. Yeah, we're obviously all living in
I'm a solipsist, so
we're all figments of Hank's imagination. I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, not yet.
God, Hank, couldn't you imagine me to be like skinnier or something?
I'm not the root mind at the moment, so I don't have as much control as I should. But I do have a new Casio SA51.
I see. All right, now we're getting into like anime territory. Are we in an isekai now? We're in Hank's isekai.
No, this one's not mine. It's someone else's.
Someone else's isekai. Damn. We gotta find whose isekai is and beat the shit out of him.
Affirmative.
But then we'll find him, and then they'll go like all Kirito on us.
I'm gonna go grab some more.
Everyone knows if we're living in an anime, it's obviously gonna end up being Attack on Titan or
fuck
or Evangelion or Evangelion.
Evangelion? No, worse. We'll be in Akira.
Or Bleach.
Nah, Bleach is cool.
That would be preferable.
Why couldn't we live in Naruto? I want a Naruto run without judgment.
It's all about.
Well, you can. You just need to go to the Middle East.
Just Naruto run without judgment. God.
The Dragon's family is not as a Naruto in the Middle East, so you can just go over there.
No, we're all in Angel Beats. That's the world we're in. That's the anime we're in. It's all fucking depressing. I recommend Angel Beats to everyone here. Angel Beats is a very sad anime, and you'll cry.
Okay, I probably I need more things that are gonna make me cry. I cry at everything as it is.
You'll cry in a good way. It's a happy sad, a sad happy.
See,
Like, I watched
this is the problem communists have. They trip over their own language. They didn't learn from Marx.
I watched Arrival again the other day, and like I
Oh.
still it still makes me cry like a little bitch, man.
God, I love that movie. That movie is so good.
Oh no, it's seriously. I think it's like the best movie of like last 10 years probably. But it just makes me cry like
Honestly,
it destroys me.
honestly, I don't think I disagree. Like I'm thinking of like all the movies that have come out, and like nothing just sticks out as much as Arrival.
I mean, just what it's about like the idea of like I mean, it's actually about something actually profound, like the concept of language rewriting, like the way our brains work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a lot of research and everything that actually shows that like like language really does have that kind of power and stuff like that. I think there's just something so profound about like the entire concept of it and the way it starts out. And like the ultimate emotional knife twist that it takes at the end is just like it's so perfect and so devastating. It's just and it's a movie about aliens. The aliens don't really matter.
Yeah.
It's like the alien. It's like aliens are like a background for this entire thing. And I think that's something that's so brilliant. And I like Denis Villeneuve in general as a director, but I don't think he's made. I don't think he'll ever. I don't know if he's likely to ever achieve what he achieved with Arrival again with like any of the Dune movies or anything like that. As much as Dune was okay, I guess, but I didn't watch it. Dune's that special to me, but that's because like as a movie, I don't think it works that well. I know as books, like they're supposedly like really amazing.
Well, that's what I heard. Like Wheel of Time is similarly, though that's a TV show, and so
yeah, I heard a TV show that fans of it did not care for.
Well, I haven't read. I haven't read Wheel of Time, but I watched the show, at least the first season, and it was like fine. I liked it. I didn't hate it.
I didn't watch it. I saw some reviews from people that loved the books that were huge fans of books that didn't like it, but I don't know anything about it. So
I guess I can empathize because of the Aragon movie that didn't actually exist.
I think I saw that movie a long time ago. Aragon was like about a dragon. Or
what?
something?
No, they did never. They never made a movie adaptation of that book. God, it was so bad. Like the book wasn't even like the first book wasn't even that great, and like they just made it worse. Though they did have the Obi-Wan Kenobi character, the wizened old teacher that dies halfway through the first book, was fucking what's his name? God, is it Jeremy Irons? I think it was Jeremy Irons. Yeah, Jeremy Irons. Oh my god, and he was perfect. Love Jeremy Irons in basically anything he's in.
Yeah, he's really good. Good old Scar.
Yep. In the
Have Jeremy Irons and Tim Roth ever been anything together? It seems like they would have like this British scowl off, like.
Oh, they probably would. God, it'd be good. Damn, it'd be good. I don't think they have been though. Speaking of stuff, I'm going to watch with my polycule tonight. We're gonna try and continue. What is it? For All Mankind.
What's that about?
That's what happens. What would have happened if the Soviets had won the space race? If they had gotten to the moon first. It's pretty interesting.
What's it called?
For All Mankind. It's on Apple TV or something.
Oh.
Yeah, it's irritating, but it reminds me a lot of what was it, the Man in the High Castle? That what happens if the Axis had won? Or it's more specific. It's like what would have happened if Germany had developed an atomic bomb first, and it's like that whole thing. They partitioned the United States into half. Like Japan got the West Coast, and Germany got the East Coast. It's pretty interesting.
So, Liv, would you rather have had the U.S. win the space race or Russia?
I mean, God. I mean, For All Mankind makes it seem like it would have been bad initially, and then inevitably it would have been good. But I know for a fact that would not have happened. It just would have been catastrophic from the get-go. Because, like, people talk about how the Soviet Union had, like, thin skin and, like, wasn't able to, like, admit its own faults. But, like, goddamn, imagine America before we won the space race losing something. Fuck, we would not have had a good reaction. Like, I honestly think it was probably for the best that we won the space race.
I've said before many times. I've often thought, like, even though I totally believe that we landed on the moon and all that stuff. I'm not a moon landing theorist or anything like that. But I have said before that if we did fake the moon landing, though, I think it was justified and good.
Yes, no, I agree.
I mean,
The
like, I know I'm a
opposition.
part of it.
Yeah, I also agree.
The thing I have a problem with that conspiracy theory is, like, people are like, oh, we faked it. I'm like, okay, so if we did good, I'm glad. So, like,
It means we beat the shit out of the Soviets and made them, like, really embarrassed for a long time, which is hilarious.
It probably led to the fall of the USSR, and
They're like, crap, they got the moon.
I mean, yeah, well, it was like the moon combined with, like, their military spending, like, just, like, turned their country into the shitter. They just couldn't, like, keep up with it. Which was,
And Stalin
Damn.
was terrible at running a country.
Oh yeah, but, like, he was only that he was
dead
like, by the time. Yeah, I was about to say, by the time, like, the space race, Stalin had honestly, like, the people after Stalin did a significantly better job, except for, like, maybe Gorbachev. Yeah, I think maybe Gorbachev was, like, he was as disastrous as Stalin, but he wasn't as bad as Stalin. There we go. Stalin was worse, but Gorbachev was equally as disastrous for the USSR.
Well, yeah, I mean, granted, like, but Stalin kind of left the country in a pretty bad state by the time he was out of power. So, it's like,
Yeah.
By the way, have you ever seen the movie The Death of Stalin? That movie is great, by the way. That movie
What's
is
it?
totally-
What?
I have not.
A movie called The Death of Stalin. It's a comedy.
Oh God, yes.
It's from a few years back. It's really good. It's the same guy that made Veep, made the show Veep, and it's like this political satire. It's really a hardcore political satire about. I think Jeremy Irons is in that, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh shit, did not know that. I'll have to check it out.
Maybe
God,
he's not
yeah.
Jeremy Irons. There's somebody like Jeremy Irons that's in that. I can't remember. I have to look it up, but I haven't seen it in a while. But it's really good.
I don't know if for those of you who haven't seen the picture of Stalin as a younger man. Damn, he is a hot. He is a hottie.
I'll tell you. Let me look him up. Oh my God! Oh, he looks like a gross, nasty old hipster. Oh wait. Oh yeah. There's several that came up. One of them
Yeah.
is a nasty mustache.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not talking about the mustache one, but, like, him as a younger man. Oh,
Yeah, he's okay.
things that do to him.
Yeah, I have to give him.
Unfortunately, he's like he was a psychopath.
I do the hair.
Yeah, he looked like Che, who was also a psychopath.
Shay was not a psychopath. Don't fucking
Yeah, he
diss
was.
Shay like that.
Stalin, probably.
Che Guevara?
Yeah, Che Guevara. I mean, he
He
was
looks like one of his
insanely
pictures.
homophobic and
No, I know he was very homophobic. Yeah, I'm aware of that.
and he did murder a lot of people. He murdered people
I
with
just
very
assume they're all
unlike Stalin, who he just had other people do it. But, like, I mean, he was not opposed to, like, killing people with his own hands. I mean, he was pretty psychopathic, man.
He was
And like,
He was a-
I've even
he
seen,
was a
I've even
terrorist
watched
in the same way that Luffy is a terrorist. Che Guevara is not a perfect person. However, I will argue that Che Guevara is far from the worst of, like, communist revolutionaries. Actually, he's far from the worst of communist revolutionaries, even just of his era.
I'll agree with that.
I mean, Che was definitely far from the
What do you
worst
like
of the
about him?
revolutionaries.
He looks
Yeah,
hot.
what do you like about? I mean, what are the things about Che Guevara that made his brutal
made you-
murdering?
Oh,
ways
I mean, he was he was
okay?
an effective revolutionary against fascists. Like that's his like what he's known for. He's not known for like being a good dude. He's known for being effective at fighting fascists, which Cuba was. Like Batista was a fucking fascist, and while Castro
I don't know that
was
to me.
while Castro was not much of an I wouldn't say Castro was himself an improvement, though Cuba
No.
did turn out has turned out better in the modern day.
I guess. So.
You can definitely make the argument that a Batista Cuba would not have become what Cuba is today. Would not have achieved what Cuba has achieved today. There we go. Cuba does have a relatively actually decent, robust healthcare system. For especially considering the fact that they're fucking embargoed by the United States still.
Yeah, Biden removed that embargo like Obama did. That's kind of.
Say again? I didn't hear that.
Why didn't Biden remove that stupid embargo like Obama did?
I mean,
Probably just
because McCarthyism is alive and well. I mean, kind of. Cuba's not exactly the like communist hellhole that it used to be. So yeah, I mean, at this point the embargo just kind of feels a little spiteful.
Canuck, it sounds like we need you up here.
Speaking of Biden, though, how do y'all feel? Old Genocide Joe's chances are.
Why do they call him Genocide Joe? I see that.
It's because of his like basically full throat. Well, okay.
Well, I guess for Israel, I guess that makes me Genocide Jeff.
His perception. I mean, not really. I'm using the phrase.
Anyone that supports Israel is a genocider now. So, like the discussion we had earlier with that stretched out definition is now being weaponized against people that support Israel.
No, it's being weaponized against Biden
for supporting Israel.
For the way in which
if I support the fact that Biden supports Israel, am I Genocide Jeff?
I mean, are you trying to give Israel $100 billion?
Or genocidal than anything Israel's done. I think supporting Israel's right to defend itself,
Jeff?
It's kind of perverse to paint someone as genocidal for supporting that.
Are you planning on giving Israel $100 billion?
I don't have $100 billion to give.
Then in which case you are not supporting Israel near as much as Biden is planning on.
Oh, so it's that he's given money to Israel. For our allies.
For weapons, yes.
To help defeat Hamas and Muslim terrorists.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes him Genocide Joe.
I mean, apparently the rest of
what is so attractive about these terrorists that you're willing to go through these links to defend them?
I'm not. Again, this is like
if someone told me, hey, there's this group of terrorists and we're going to help defeat them, I wouldn't turn that around and try to make that like
it's the manner in which the terrorists are being defeated, which people take issue with.
I don't care what manner terrorists defeat.
I am aware. I'm just explaining to you how people
defeat terrorists.
I'm aware that you do. I'm aware that you don't care, but apparently other people do. So
I don't know why. Like, why do you care how the most vile people on earth get defeated?
Okay, so let's just say, it's okay. How about this? We'll turn it into a trolley problem, right? All right. So
yes.
Yeah. All right. So there's two people standing next to each other. Okay. There's a vile murderer and a grandma. Okay. Now, if I take a gun and I shoot the vile murderer and stop him from murdering the grandma, right? That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. It'd be better if he just stopped on his own, but if he doesn't stop his own, go ahead and get rid of that murderer.
Yeah. However, If I drop a bomb on him and vaporize both him and the grandma, I've done his job for him.
Yeah, but
So-
that's
Yeah.
not, I don't get
So-
the analogy to.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
So the analogy then is that when we give money to Israel for like precision munitions that they're using to target things like
But you wanted
hospitals.
precision so that they
Yeah,
can
that's-
No.
What
Hang on.
problems with the gun?
Here's the problem though. They're not using the precision mission like there's precision munitions to like hyper target Hamas. They're like using them to like target things like journalists' homes, hospitals, ambulances,
hospitals
more
that
hospitals,
has their military base.
and
under-
that there are civilians in. Also,
Yeah.
like, what do you mean?
If you
I have
read
not.
that-
I have
that
not.
post
I have not. I have not
Mark
seen.
explains
I have
all
not seen evidence from Israel to sufficient to convince me that under Al Shifa Hospital, Hamas was using like they showed like a fucking.
So you think Israel's just making it
CS
up so they can target
well,
a hospital? That sounds
heck,
way more
well,
preposterous to me.
Let's
than
assume
any-
they're doing that. Why don't they
let's
just getting
be-
the big guns out?
let's
They got
first-
nukes.
let's first
Hurry
off-
up and finish this.
let's
we
first
want to
off
bomb the hospital.
let's first
That's
off be
just
clear
ridiculous.
that the
Well,
stupid
then.
like CS:GO thing that they posted is stupid. Like that's fake.
Okay,
That's
yes,
just-
It is-
fake. It's a video game.
What? I didn't hear.
They posted like a video which had like allegedly the Hamas tunnels, and it was just like an animation that used like CS:GO assets.
I
It
don't know
was
what-
clownish. It's a video game.
Oh.
It's a video game where you like it's like your one side is the terrorists and one side is the good guys and whatever. It's a video game though is like the thing. They're like, "Oh, yes, here's this high-tech video based on all of our data," and it's that.
You don't trust Israel. You think they're more sinister than I think that they are. And
I mean,
could-
sure,
what
yeah.
principles are being violated by supporting Israel or by giving? aid?
Let's assume they're just as sinister as Lib thinks they are. Hamas can't beat them already, so we might as well tell Israel to hurry
I
up and
think
then this
Hamas
war.
is way more sinister than he imagines Israel to be.
I rather Israel
Hamas-
just end towards
Hamas-
the war
Hamas-
over
October 7th,
Hamas are jihadist
Palestine.
militants.
Just put them out their misery.
I don't-
Hurry up and end it.
I don't think that Hamas are like the good guys in any way, shape, or form.
So I want Israel just to do what they plan on doing and just do it quick.
but your focus seems to be on
Well,
Israel.
the-
And I've had this same argument with Paul. Like, I
Because-
don't know
because
why the
currently-
focus is on
because-
Israel and
because
not the
currently-
real bad guys.
because it's more complicated than only one bad guy.
Not right now, it isn't.
It
Not for me.
I mean, yeah, but for the rest of the world,
If it was complicated at all, October 7th resolved all those complications.
I mean,
Yeah. So Israel just hurry up and do what we know it's going to do and just do it now. We can.
I mean, I think
Put
they
the
should.
prayer one
because
on their
I am one who prefers openness and honesty. So if Israel wants to like, they should just do whatever they're going to do with the Palestinians and quit being little bitches.
I
right?
agree.
All right, they're little.
Yeah,
They're little
I agree with
cucks.
that. I agree with that. I do think if they have some master plan or something like that. Unfortunately, it's probably 1/4 the thing that we're attributing to malice. They could probably better attribute to incompetence.
I mean, they
Well,
would have
there
figured
are-
it out. I think
Hang on,
they're
there
out.
are absolutely elements of the Israeli government that are malicious. However, I'm not opposed to the idea that I mean, first off, we do know that there is some level of incompetence because October 7th happened in the first place. Like October 7th shouldn't have happened given what Israel has access to, and that is very much so like a failure of their system. Allegedly they like have this huge intelligence system, and yet like Hamas was able to like October 7th wasn't a nothing attack. It wasn't like 2 bottle rockets. It was an actual attack, and it just slipped by them. And
That's a reasonable observation to make.
Yeah, So I strongly recommend Israel to stop playing around and Israel to stop just lording over the Palestinians.
However, in
if
addition,
they're going to do genocide, just hurry up and do it. Get this thing over with.
in addition, their stated goal is to destroy Hamas. However, given the fact that like we as the United States understand that the ways in which you don't destroy an insurgency, which is basically what Hamas is. Hamas is a bunch of like
No, it's the
guerrilla
state
warfare.
government, it's the de facto government of Gaza. It's not an
Well,
insurgency.
okay,
We're
no.
going
The militant arm of Hamas is a
They have a
like-
non-militant arm.
yes. They have
I
Yes, they do.
totally 100% completely believe you.
okay. When I say non-militant, what I mean is people who aren't necessarily connected to the people who are doing all the terrorism, but the people who are trying to do good things. Like, for instance, the people who run hospitals. Jeff, do you think like the doctors inside the hospitals who work
Do you
for
think
Hamas are all like?
the doctors are Muslim terrorists?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm talking about Hamas, the terrorist organization. That
Yeah, if you're
God-
talking about Hamas, the militants, yes,
the doctors and the-
they work for Hamas. All right, Jeff,
if they
This
work
is
for
seriously-
Hamas, then they're as culpable as Hamas in my book. I show them no mercy.
they're fucking doctors.
If you're saying that they work for Hamas,
Because Hamas
then they
is,
need-
for
they
all
need to
intents and
suffer the
purposes, the
consequences.
only organization in the Gaza Strip
behalf of Hamas.
that does anything. Partially because of that.
Do they have the
Israel-
option to not work for Hamas? Like, if you're a doctor, can you say, "Oh, I'll just do my own practice," or are all doctors forced to work for Hamas? I don't know how it works.
at
Or is it
this-
voluntary?
At this point, it's like
Do they have some doctors that don't work for Hamas?
I mean, usually those are people part of like UN or like the Red Cross and stuff.
Well, in Gaza, like
Yeah, no, I mean in Gaza we have there are Red Cross and UN workers in Gaza.
Okay.
And I mean I'm sure there are like Palestinian doctors who work for the Red Cross.
I'm sure the same
and for the
argument
UN.
was made in the 1940s too, when it came to Nazi Germany.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, like again, Jeff, you and I just
It
disagree.
doesn't
I
move the
think
needle for me one bit.
I mean, that's fine. It moves the needle for me, I guess. I mean, now for what it's worth.
I would resist it. So I'm sure.
Well,
there's
I mean,
doctors-
we're all we can all say what we would have done if we lived in Nazi Germany, but as the wise JP Jordan Peterson has talked about, you might be shocked that
then everybody should be, if what Canuck's saying here is true, then everybody in the world should be supporting Israel to go out and take these ruthless dictators that are occupying this innocent country.
well, if Israel was only killing them, then yes, that would be that then yes, I would support.
I think that's completely unrealistic, and that's not a standard that's ever been, or an expectation that's ever been applied to any other country.
It is an expectation.
And no other
It is an
people that are not
expectation.
these
It is an
group of people in a
expectation.
war.
It is an expectation that you should make an attempt,
I posted that
a
tweet
reasonable attempt.
earlier that breaks it all. It answers all of this. It goes
And
very detailed about how international law applies to all
The
this, and what
the
actual
levels
expectations
of
and parameters
casualties
are.
do not indicate that Israel is being discriminatory.
But you said earlier you have a bias against Israel, and you were
Because of,
thinking-
well, hang on.
before- I don't like. I think this is
My
a certain
bias is because of the things they
conversation.
do.
I think if we peel the layers back, there's going to be something about you psychologically that is just not going to see Israel objectively.
Yeah, I have a bias for
No
Israel.
one's going to see. Hang on,
So-
you're not going to see Israel objectively if we're going by that standard, Jeff.
Well, then what's the point of having these conversations? Because I'm trying to have
We're
as
all
objective
biased.
conversation as I can.
Yeah, I agree. I'm biased for Israel, yes. But what's wrong with that? Why can't I
I'm
be biased?
biased against barbarism, genocidal radical terror, and I'm biased toward enlightened democracy and Western civilization. Those
Well,
are my biases.
I'm not
just
sure
over
that
and
Israel
over.
is exactly a great example of an enlightened Western civilization.
I think it's a better example than Gaza, Palestine, some of the Arab countries.
Some of them, sure.
I'm
I mean, like,
completely
I'm-
outside.
I'm-
I don't
I would-
think
I would-
it's this
I would
crazy,
rather-
aberrant position to take like Israel is one of the more enlightened actors in that region.
I would rather.
I don't
Okay,
think
so
that's
like,
bizarre
I
to
do,
think.
Jeff. I do have a question. If Ukraine started carpet bombing Russian cities, would you believe that we should pull all support from Ukraine?
I didn't hear
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
part of your question.
If Ukraine began carpet bombing Russian,
I think we
civilian
should be pulling.
centers-
I think we should be pulling support for Ukraine anyway.
Okay, do you think? Sorry, NATO. Okay, like do we all agree that like probably NATO/Europe should be supporting Ukraine more than we should?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know.
And-
I avoided the Ukraine issue for a while. I know very little about it on purpose. I was
Yeah, we
glued to
shouldn't
the
be paying
Twitter
for
like
it.
the first few weeks it happened, and then I just had to detach.
Sure. Okay. I guess like
I'd support pulling all our
I
money out
don't
of
feel ruled as if I'm a serf, so I don't know how it is in Canada. But here, oh wait, that's the wrong tweet. Here in the U.S., I do not feel ruled as though I am a serf. I have an amazing amount of freedom and self-determination.
compared
And
to other
I
places.
pretty
yes.
much decide what I'm going to do from morning to night every day.
We don't have as much freedom as we could, however.
I
But
have
that's
all I have all the freedom I've ever had, and it hasn't really been like restricted or constrained much. I grew up with an enormous amount of freedom, and I still feel like I have that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like that's not every American's experience, obviously.
But if
and
it's
all
not,
equal.
I would look at the individual factors of that person and determine, like the internal factors, and determine why it's not. Because the opportunity to have that is certainly there.
For some,
So
in some
if
cases,
they're
yeah.
if they're not optimizing their freedom in a country like America, I don't know how much of that.
I
is
mean,
American.
some people can't. Do you at least acknowledge that there are some people who are just like dealt a particularly shit
I
hand?
would want to look at the factors in their life that
Yeah, I mean, obviously on an individual
training
level.
them, because
Obviously.
I'm skeptical that anybody in America can't take advantage of this kind of freedom.
That is wildly like
And you don't even need
ivory
money.
tower.
I'm as poor as me and Chris are as poor as they come, and I still have this amazing amount of freedom. So poverty can't be one of those.
Well,
factors.
poverty can pull freedom away from you.
It hasn't for
Are
me.
you? Do you?
Yeah, poverty can, but
Do you
there's
think-
people who trade the ability to do stuff for EBTs. So you can choose to be
What?
free, or you can choose to be a serf.
I like even being poor, I don't feel like anyone's controlling my life like I'm a serf. I still
Okay,
feel
no.
free.
I don't think people are controlling your life like a serf. However, what I am saying is that I believe that there are definitely people in this country who are in shit positions, who could be in better positions if only they were given
If
more.
only they
opportunities.
made the decision and used their agency to put themselves in a better position.
Some
I
people
believe
don't
that
have
they're
the
helpful. Like,
ability.
what's keeping them in these positions other than themselves?
I mean, a lot of
Just
things.
like people
Usually,
who
it's
don't
lack.
leave bad relationships.
Oh my
All
God.
they have to do is leave the damn relationship.
I mean, in some cases, but what happens when those relationships are
It
like
all-
you're a,
almost
hang on,
all-
hang on.
I have a hard time thinking of cases where that would not improve there.
What about if it's a
What?
kid and your parents abusive? Like you're like 12 and your parents abusive.
There's
Are you just supposed
runaways
to-
all the time that leave bad. I left.
you-
I
do-
had
would-
a-
would
did
you-
have the best home life, and I've left it.
I'm
several
aware,
times.
but then would you then put the blame on kids who stayed in an abusive household? Like a 10-year-old, right? A 10-year-old who gets abused, right? You think, oh man, and then they grow up to be 18.
No,
and
I
they're
wouldn't
fucked
hold
up.
a kid to the same standard of like awareness and consciousness about that I would an adult.
Okay, well,
So I don't know.
are
That
you-
example seems to be designed to distort
Sure.
the point.
Are you aware that there are people who like are fucking like get shit education, like really bad education here in the United
Yeah.
States? And
Yeah,
that sets them
Yeah,
up.
but people like the individual is also in control of what level
No.
education
This
they
is
get.
the
The
thing, Jeff.
opportunity
I'm not
has been the
saying-
same. I went to school with kids of all classes and races, and we were all in the same classrooms with the same opportunities to get the education.
Well, that's sometimes the case, but then like sometimes you'll have like, for instance, I was given an immense privilege because I went to a private school. Okay, that is an insane amount of privilege. There were like 9 other people in my class. I would an insanely small class size. I, from an educational level, was given insane amounts of advantage. Okay, and
Yeah, I
that's not-
wasn't, so that's why I have this this SA 51, so I can get an actual music education.
Are you going to play us?
Not yet. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Oh,
But I could do. I could.
don't they have little pre-programmed?
they do.
Oh yes, absolutely. It has 10
Okay.
songs and 50 rhythms on it.
I love the rhythms. I love like fucking around with the rhythms.
I had one of those when I was younger, and that's
I did
about all
too.
I could do was play with the rhythms and ping the keys.
I just have MIDI controllers around. I have a ton of MIDI controller keyboards around.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't have to. It has its own audio, so I don't have to play with the PC to get it going.
Oh, sure. I mean, I understand. I
was
love
more
my
of-
MIDI.
I was more of a guitar person. I actually, oh god, I'm trying to get my guitar shipped up here, because one of the guys in my polycule wants to learn to play guitar, so I'm gonna get my electric guitar up here, and because it's a Fender, it's a Mexican Fender, but it was still like $1,000.
Yeah, no, Mexican vendors are good, man. I mean, I've owned a few. I've owned a few Mexican vendors. I've owned a couple of Chinese ones that were really good too.
Yeah.
The Telecasters I used to have.
Honestly, just Fender
my music equipment back years back. I had an American Fender. I had 2 Mexican ones. I had 2 Chinese ones, and I had a couple of just other those were all Telecasters, and then I had a couple of I had a Strat and a couple other things too. But,
And I've got a Jaguar.
yeah, she still got her Jag.
So,
down there.
so the point is, even though it may not be someone's fault, they still have to live with the consequences. So it's up to them to act.
Yeah, on an individual level, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I'm not
Well,
saying
we were
that
talking
should
about
encourage-
individuals, weren't we? I
Well,
was.
I mean,
thought you
yeah,
were.
you absolutely should encourage people to make as good of decisions as possible, on an individual level. Absolutely, I do that too. However, on like a larger level, we have to recognize that like not everyone is set up. Ooh, are we gonna get a show?
But when you said larger level and then not everyone. To me, that's still at the individual level. I don't know what this larger level is.
I mean, I believe that we should have social safety nets to help people and like to establish a baseline, right, of opportunity for people.
I agree.
And I believe that our current system does not have as even of a opportunity level, nor as high of an opportunity level.
I don't know
as
how that
we could.
affects people's sense of freedom and ability to have the free. Like there's crack people that wake up in the morning and do whatever they want and smoke crack and walk around the street. Like they're having the same freedom I'm having.
They're probably more freedom, but they're not doing anything useful with it.
But
This is my
that
opinion.
was not a condition of the freedom. I'm just saying we
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
amazing
You don't
amount
need
of,
to.
like lack of interference and lack of authoritarian control over our lives here in America.
Except when they get arrested. So
Yeah,
That's
that's
I
the
agree.
price of
I think our
criminality.
we discussed this the other day. Our police system could definitely use some reform. We definitely have, in some cases, I don't want to say we have too few freedoms. I think oftentimes police officers have too long of a leash. Perhaps maybe that might be a good way to phrase it.
I'd have to see
To limit people's freedoms, because like we all agree that like police need to exist in some form or fashion.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I very rarely, I can't remember the last time I encountered a police. Like based on some action I took. I worked with him as part of my job. We did
Yeah.
a project with him, trying to raise awareness for autism. But
Yeah,
like
I mean,
me,
like
the last
bad
time I got interfered with by a police, I can't. It's decades probably.
most of my bad interactions with police were out in the rural areas, like where like supposed to like speed trap type shit.
Yeah,
like,
that's
just corruption and
Yeah,
just bullshit.
traffic incident, which was me like not obeying traffic laws. So I was putting my freedom in jeopardy.
I have absolutely never done vandalism. Never.
I haven't even been tempted. It's never even crossed my mind to. I don't get any kind of pleasure in destroying property that's not mine.
Well, it was a police station, so it was kind of mine. I was a taxpayer. Not that I did vandalism. I didn't. I've never done it before. Just making sure the little CIA guy who listens to me,
Your FBI agent, yeah.
my FBI agent. I'm definitely on a list. That's fine.
I'm on all the lists. So many lists I don't even know. Like,
I just assume I'm on them if they're that interested.
well, you got through the airport okay, so.
Oh yeah, that's true. With
Yeah.
something that's up. Yeah, I
okay.
went through security twice, there and back. So
As long
Well,
as you didn't try to leave the country, that's when they get you.
yeah.
wave me through like everybody else.
No, I don't know.
Oh,
I
hey,
No,
Vic.
but like all that was more just to like say that yes, on an individual level, everyone should be encouraged to be their best self, to do the best that they can. Because people
I
can
was
do-
not even saying that. I'm just saying, if you don't have the freedom to just live your life as you want without interference, I don't know why, and I don't think that's America's fault. I want to look at what you're doing to prevent you from having that freedom.
I think I agree.
You don't have to be your best self. You can shoot drugs on the street all day. I'm just saying, I don't know any reason that any American can't have
That freedom
sense
to
of freedom.
yeah. Now, depending on where you live, you don't have the freedom, legally at least, to kill yourself.
But who's that going to stop? Like, that's not a realistic law anyway.
I mean, already. I mean, yeah.
No consequence for it.
In reality, all that law does is like hurt people who it shouldn't hurt, like people with like terminal illnesses who, you know, I always go back to there was that one lady who like fucking had the tumor in her brain that was going to kill her in like 48 hours in like a really excruciatingly painful way, and because the state she lived in didn't allow for self-termination, like she just had to like go in and they put her under so that she didn't feel it. And she just had to experience.
At that point, what's the difference between self-termination, as you're saying, and like them putting you under so you don't feel it? I mean,
well, you do still feel it. Like, is the problem? Like they could put her under to a certain extent, but not. At least in that case, I don't know. Obviously, like every case, but like I do think that medically assisted suicide should be an option, because I do believe that people should be allowed.
I'm not 100% opposed to it, but I would.
Oh, I want it heavily regulated. It needs to be super heavily regulated.
But see, like as soon as you open the door to it, then suddenly you're in where Canada is with maids. So,
well, not if you implement right. Canada didn't start out that like they got themselves there.
Yeah, again, like
if you regulate it and implement it properly, it's not axiomatic that you're always going to end up like Canada.
Mm-hmm.
There's ways to do it and not end up like Canada.
Yeah, I think the thing is that we should focus. The thing that we should focus on is helping people primarily, and
why?
What?
Why?
Well,
Why is it
because
my responsibility to help people?
you're.
Like, why should that be?
I mean,
why should I
your fellow,
prioritize it and
your
have that be
fellow.
my?
Let's just start with like your fellow Americans. We can start there.
I don't feel
Uh,
motivated to help them unless they come to me voluntarily for
I mean,
help.
I'm talking like as a society, as like the country, America. We should implement laws that help people rather than laws that hurt people.
Well, I think for the most part we do. The best thing
Yeah.
I can do for my fellow American, and that's in the spirit of America, is to leave them alone and let them pursue their happiness.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like sometimes, but like also like we have to, have we have to have laws. We have to have things like,
we do.
well, some, but like some we have to have like more. Like for instance,
Why?
better.
Why? I want as little laws as possible.
I
I
mean,
don't like a bunch of laws and rules. I'm not a rules person.
rules are how society functions.
Yeah, but we have
We have
rules.
some, but like not all the
regulation,
rules that
and you want
exist.
more.
Well, because like time passes. Like you can say like, oh, I don't want rules, but like 100 years ago, we didn't have rules for like TV
I'm not saying I
regulations.
don't want rules. I said I don't like rules, and I think we have enough rules for society to function. I'm not an anarchist.
Sure,
like
but
you're
not
the
like
anarchist arguing for rules.
well, yeah, an anarchist society depends heavily on rules.
Well, maybe I'm the anarchist.
Fundamentally, freedom isn't like worth anything if it's only like
But
okay. Now we're getting into like almost like positive versus negative freedom. Almost.
we have rule. We have laws.
We do have law. We have some laws. There are some laws that and sometimes there are laws that need to be changed, laws that need to be
We have a
invented.
process.
Yeah, and we have process. And I'm saying that we should, when it comes to medically assisted suicide, we should have better laws because our current laws, at least on a state by state level, oftentimes prevent it, which is harmful to people who exist
Who
in
don't
America.
want to live in the first place. I don't care about the harm to people that don't even want to be alive.
No. Hang on. So, like again, self medically assisted suicide primarily has to do with people who are terminally ill or people who are really, really old and sick. Most of the time, like in fact, I would argue
if I'm in that position or when I get old, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to care if there's a law or not.
Well, the thing is allowing those kinds of people to die with dignity, right? Because like, yes, sure, technically you could like anyone could like go out and buy a gun.
I don't care. That is not a priority for me. Like people that don't want to live, making sure that they don't not live with dignity. That's just so far on my list of priorities.
Well, I feel like allowing for medically assisted. I feel like allowing for medically assisted suicide is better than just telling people, "Lol, just go like chew on a bullet, man." Because like that's the current, at least in some states, that's the current.
That seems so first world. Like I don't care how people that don't want to live die. That's nothing that needs to be a societal problem to take on. There's so many other things we could prioritize.
Okay, but the problem isn't that
this person that doesn't even want to exist in the first place. Let's make sure they have a way to not exist, but with dignity.
I like. Have you ever had?
They're the last on my list of people to worry about.
I guess you just maybe haven't had elderly relatives who have like been in hospice before or something, but like yeah, it is kind of important to people to die with dignity.
Well, if it's important enough, it will make its way through the process, and eventually someday there will
That's
be.
All I'm saying. I don't know why you had to turn this into like a whole thing. I was just saying, I do think that is a thing that we should perhaps take a look at.
I don't care to. You can.
Yeah, I'm saying
I don't care to it. I'm not motivated to at all. So I won't be part of that.
That's
But that's
fine.
what's great about America is we don't all
Yeah.
have to advocate for the same thing.
In fact, it's actually probably good that we don't all advocate for the same things, because that's how we get all of these different good things happening, because we all can focus on what like appeals to us, and we can then all get together at the ballot box.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, I mean, it's I do think like our system could use some refinement, but broadly it's good.
Yeah. I agree.
I think we could, honestly, I do think we should make changes to the Senate. Mostly like the Senate and the Electoral College, but that's just...
I've heard arguments for both. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I stand on that because they're both convincing to me.
Yeah, I mean, oh no, don't worry. I'm on the same. Like, I dislike the Electoral College, but I don't think to the degree that I think that it's like a moral imperative that we remove it. I do think that it's created some problems where you'll have like people who lost the popular vote by a significant margin then like becoming president, which I do think is a problem, but I don't think it's like that's not going to right now cause the collapse of our democracy. It is, though, I do believe, a slightly antiquated system. And not even slightly. Like, it was set up to protect the interest of the southern states. It's like that's why the Electoral College was set up. Now, that's not what we use it for today, but that's what I'm saying. That's why it was set up for in the beginning, and it's important to realize that when we talk about it in its context today.
I'm not that worried about the collapse of our democracy either. Like, if I was worried about it, it was during the 4 years of Trump, and we survived that. So maybe I have this false sense of confidence.
Yeah, no. I mean, for what it's worth, I don't think like we're gonna, because like we're not gonna get another Trump. Trump's gonna go to fucking jail.
But we have a system that like. I don't think Trump himself. No, I don't think he's going to be on the ballot.
But also, I don't think that like, I don't think any of the Republicans who are there are like. I mean, they won't. What we're gonna get? Like DeSantis has already crashed and burned. Was there anyone else who was relevant?
I'm going to end up with. I was hoping for DeSantis, but I have no.
I mean, we're just going to end up with Biden. That's.
I hope it's not Vivek or somebody stupid like that.
No. We won't get. It won't be Vivek
or Nikki Haley.
Jesus fucking Christ, God. All of those people, they're like, oh yeah, I just want to get rid of the Department of Education.
Well, I can be persuaded.
Okay,
because I think education is most effective at the local level anyway.
Okay, but what happens when like?
And I don't trust the current trend of wokeness that's infiltrated that institution, that industry.
I'm okay. Whatever. I don't even want to get on that topic with you, if I'm being honest.
We don't have to.
I'd rather.
I am saying I can be persuaded. I'm not married to having the Department of Education.
I mean, you are married to having like people get educated for
but
free,
I don't know
right?
that we need a federal department for that.
Okay. That's all I need is that you agree that we should be educating people for free.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, my education came primarily from the public schools, and I taught in the public schools.
Yeah,
and I see great value in having that.
I'm not saying that like the Department of Education necessarily is like the best system in the world. However, when people say they want to get rid of the Department of Education, those people aren't saying that because they want to have like a better, more like robust school system.
I bet a lot of them are.
The system that they want is not actually better and more robust. The system that they want is actually more set up to propagandize people towards their goals.
I think the Department of Education is set up to do that now. That's one reason I don't trust it.
It's
I want
set up to.
indoctrination. If indoctrination is going to happen, I don't want it at a national level. I'd rather it be contained to a state or county level.
If indoctrination is going to happen, I want it to be good indoctrination, not bad indoctrination.
I don't want indoctrination at all.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what a certain amount of education is indoctrination.
Wider reach that increases the danger that indoctrination is going to be at a greater scale.
I've known people who would claim that like teaching people formal logic would be indoctrination.
No, that's not indoctrination.
I know it's not. I have absolutely met people.
Formal logic is not an ideology.
Who called that
the
liberal bullshit.
But they're just projecting.
I've met a conservative who called formal logic liberal bullshit. He's stupid.
They're an idiot. They're an idiot.
Yeah, he's like not the only person who has that idea towards.
But I don't know anybody that wants to get rid of the Department of Education because they don't want their kids to learn logic.
No, it's usually because they don't want them to. No. In my experience, it's usually because they don't want them to learn about evolution. But
I have not encountered that. I know.
Oh wait, okay. Actually, wait, really?
As a fringe minority, I don't think that's.
So I went to a Christian private school, and we didn't learn about evolution. Not properly.
I'm glad you.
Well, that's terrible. You should have learned that it's a lie from the devil, at least.
I know. No. It was actually the funniest thing. We learned about it in 8th grade, and it was like she did this whole thing where it was like she did the whole like micro versus like macro, you know, and then she would like say, and then we like brushed past the entire like chapter on evolution in like a day, and then moved on to talking about fucking eye colors and shit.
Don't do that, please.
It was
like the Punnett squares.
Yeah, the Punnett squares. Actually, Punnett squares is super fun. Love doing the Punnett squares. They're way oversimplified, but I like them. They're cool. And like now, like one of my favorite topics to just consume kind of passively is things about fucking prehistory humanity. I love reading stuff on that topic. And it's like, you know, everything. I mean, evolution, climatology, paleontology is all baked into this kind of stuff, and it's really important in this kind of field. I love it, and if I hadn't gone out and educated myself on what evolution is, I wouldn't believe in it today. Because
I'm glad you did.
You know, I think evolution makes sense. I think adaptation certainly is really observable, but I think there are gaps in the evolutionary record that give me questions some things about evolution, but not. I think evolution falls us.
I don't. Yeah, we don't question like the mechanism that pushes evolution. Natural selection. Like that's kind of just broadly. We see that it is.
I mean, like I have questions, I guess, about like the concept of like, you know, like a single cell life evolving into multi-cell life over time, like that. But you know, it just because we can't observe it, you know, I feel like to a degree it requires an element of faith in the same way that like believing in a creator does. So I find kind of like
I don't think it involves faith in the same level that belief in the creator does.
Not in the same
especially
way.
Like when you go from single cell to multi-cell.
Yeah, honestly, like
going from inorganic matter to
organic matter. Actually, no, I think I actually disagree because I this is just a me, but like, damn, those papers on when they like basically made that soup and then just fucking put electricity through it and like proteins, like organic proteins came into existence, like formed out of that, that's fucking nuts. That actually, do you know what I'm talking about?
Actually, I don't. Like, what study is that?
Oh God, I'll have to find it. They did an experiment where they like took what they could best believe to be were the conditions on Earth about when the first single-celled organisms would have come about on Earth, and they like just tried to put an electricity through like that sludge to like mimic like basically something happening that would have sparked this. And what you get is that you can get organic materials from inorganic materials. This is a long way from demonstrating how it happened, but like to demonstrate that it's possible to get organic materials from inorganic materials is fucking huge. That's like a huge first step.
That's
interesting. I've heard about that.
Because it's all chemical. Like if the chemical compound, the elements combined in the right compounds.
Yeah, but it's
like way more logical and possible than belief in a creator.
Oh yeah, no. I'm with you, Jeff. Sorry, that was my bad. I was just saying like, yeah. I think that people take it on faith in the same way that people take a creator on faith, because I don't think your average person cares to learn about the particulars of
it on
how that works.
Relative
or on probability, which honestly, like if we want to be kind of pedantic, a lot of people kind of just who are religious, at least in the United States, a lot of people just use Pascal's wager. They just go off of probability. Pascal's wager. They just use probability.
Because they don't want to go to hell.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's not even they don't even use good probability. If we use good probability, we'd be, I don't know. Some form of polytheist.
Because we work in those casinos.
Oh God. I fucking hate. I say I hate casinos, but like, it's a little nostalgic for me. It reminds me of my grandma, so I can't hate them that much.
I'm the same way. I didn't gamble, but they remind me of Vegas. So I have this. I haven't been in a casino since, but I always had this comforting feeling from being inside of a casino. Because in Vegas, everything is in the casino. If you want to watch a movie, eat at a restaurant, or shop, it all happens in casinos.
Yeah.
Yep.
Social life.
Oh shit! Hang on. I need to give my burrito order.
Oh. We can we'll probably start wrapping up too. I wish Hank were here to play us out.
Damn, yeah, would have been good.
With his little W songs. Hey.
What's that?
I said I wish Hank was here to play us out, but since he's not, we'll have to set up for one of your little MIDI songs.
I have my guitar. It does not sound good on through the stream though. I listen back to it. Like when I did that the other time.
You have or any of these guitar tracks? I could play one of those.
I don't know of the ones that are on there. I mean, there's guitar on some of them, but I don't know about it's not like guitar. It's like guitar is like a main thing.
All the new ones that you gave me.
Like that song "Endings" has guitar in it and stuff like that I played, but like
you played that before. I'll just play the one I started with today if I can remember which one it was. Oh, I think I got it.
Yeah, I need to get to.
By the way, on Machine Stream the other day, he showed a clip from the movie Slacker and that topic here. And I am a slacker. Like that was my culture. I lived in Austin about a year after that movie came out. And I'm thinking about showing Slacker and Waking Life, so I might do that tomorrow.
All right, cool. No, I love both those movies. I've watched both of them a bunch of times. So.
And then Friday, I think if Emerald's available, we're gonna try to do Ordinary People, and then do the evening stream.
Sure.
But we
yeah,
will still be here every day. We'll be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. and every day after. But we also do some evening streams when we can, particularly on Friday nights. So it's usually following a movie that we watch. So if y'all want to be part of that, just contact me.
Hell yeah. All right. I will. Thank you for having me on. Y'all have a good afternoon / evening.
You too. And
Be well.
enjoy your burrito.
I will.
Say goodnight, Juniper.
Bye, Juniper. It was good to see you. I'll see you tomorrow.
She's clapping for you.
It's over and she's happy.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh, there was a baby on the plane. He was like a couple of seats in front of me, and he was just like Juniper. He lit up, and when I went to the rescue, you had to stand outside waiting for the person to get out, and he would look up at me from his seat, and he'd smile and start flapping like Juniper. So they do have. There's other cute babies out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this generation is just going to be a happier, brighter generation.
So. Because if that's still like their natural genetic wiring from that age, that gives me a lot of optimism. Just try to like not let trauma impact them.
We're trying. So far, the only drama she has is about nap time. So
she seems very resilient right now.
Yeah, she is. She's very resilient. Ha. Bye.
All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Take care.
We'll dance out.
Is that the song? I don't think that was the song.
What's that?
I forgot what song I played. No.
That was the one that you had earlier.
That was? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. There it is.
Anyway, good night.
Good night. Okay. That's our show for today, and we'll be here tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. Central, and probably watch some movies after that. So, see you then, and have a wonderful rest of your day.